himself a crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
It's time for the crossover, powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. And it is a remote crossover because
Screw you, Hap.
Connor's big timing us from Las Vegas.
Big timing you? What do you mean? Hey, I can hear. Well, now we're getting but I can hear myself now, Nick. So that's good.
We can hear you though.
We
So
can
that's,
hear you,
that's a
Connor.
plus.
Josh, I'm getting a reverb in my ear.
He's getting a reverb.
There we go.
Is that better?
Hey, we are back. All right, what's up? Good morning from Vegas, gentlemen.
How's the
it
weather?
going?
You look cold.
The weather is cool. No, I'm not cold. It's 45, but it doesn't feel like 45. It's like 45 feels like 58.
That was a very Midwestern
the
thing
Nebraska
of you to say.
58.
No,
Yeah, it's
wind, huh?
lovely, and we get the no wind at all this morning, and we get the the warmth coming off of the pool,
Sure.
and we're just waiting for that sun to poke out, and
What,
then all of a sudden
what was for dinner
it'll be
last
like
night?
summer again.
What was for dinner last night?
We went to a restaurant here in the fabulous Circa Hotel Resort and Casino called 8 East. It's it's an Asian place.
pretty good.
It's pretty solid. Second time we've been there after coming last March, and we enjoyed it again thoroughly. Fantastic.
How much money did you lose on Sunday Night Football?
All right, so I guess I'll it's a long.
Is
it's a
your
long
wife
answer.
listening? Yeah.
So I took you. I'll take you through my day yesterday, basically, which I felt like I should have. If you redo that day, with all the bets that I placed, 3 or 4 times or 10 times, you simulate it 10 times, I probably come out on top more times than not. Like Bucky Irving was this close to putting me over for the day with a first touchdown right out of the gate, and he didn't do it. Kaimi Fairbairn screwed a teeter that I had by missing a field goal, and Houston, screwed that whole thing up. Now I'm louder in my ear, Nick. And so then I got to the point where I was chasing it a little bit. So for the Sunday night game, I bet a whole bunch of first touchdown scorers, just hoping that one would hit and hoping that one of the high odds ones would hit. And I felt like I had a good shot at that, and I did. I ended up getting. I think it was Kyron Williams who scored the first touchdown last night. So I'm back, and then I hit the roulette a little bit. I just kind of grinded.
What's your number?
What's your
go-to number?
I bet 5 black number. I put money on black, and then I put on 5 numbers: 10, 17, 22, 31, and 35.
I like it all across the board.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're all black numbers, but yeah, 10, 17, 22, 31, and 35, they go on every time. Hit a number once, and a matter of 5 or 10 hands, and you're gonna be on top.
What's the weirdest thing? Nick,
so it was a fine day.
What's the weirdest thing Nick Grimm has done since you guys have been out there?
I don't know. He disappeared. He can hear me. He disappeared for a little while yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And I was confused. I went to go record a podcast, and
Oh, why did
Nick
you have stuff to talk
time.
about on your podcast?
Yeah, we did a few things, and then I came back, and Nick was still not there, and I was like, "Wow, I wonder where he went." And then we asked him if he took a nap, and he said, "I took a rest." He did not take a nap. Now I can't hear myself anymore. Now I can. So
I wish we had the director of audio and video somewhere around.
Did he? I don't know. Maybe film a video?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's filming probably some stuff.
Got some stuff in the hopper?
He's cooking something.
That's a no.
Yeah, he's cooking something back there. He's also on the phone with a company that provides us technical services right now as well. But so he's trying to get some stuff figured out. Josh, you and I are the test run show. We just have to make sure everything kind of works.
Well, you gotta work for a little bit today, and that obviously sucks. You don't want to do that, but. What are you guys most excited about for your time in Vegas?
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna get into. This is a day that we're kind of on our own. So Josh won't. I don't know what Josh is doing. Josh is probably running around Vegas.
He's just
literally running.
Running the F1 track.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He might be doing a lap around the city right now. And
he wants it to be known that he is working today.
he's having a normal like this. It is really odd. It's just a normal Monday for us, except for we are in fabulous Las Vegas and it's 2 hours earlier than it actually is. So, but I woke up this morning and did my same morning routine, except for to do the show. I just went downstairs. Maybe I should consider building an apartment above NRG Media in Omaha. That would really help. That'd be cool.
There's a listener's lounge downstairs with a bunch of comfy couches on.
There you go. I'm sure people have slept there before.
The brass would really appreciate you just living on premises. I'm sure, Connor. That would be just wonderful.
Why not?
I would contend they'd never know.
Good morning, Josh.
Have you made a decision on the pool?
I'm looking at it right now. I got one about 8 feet away from me. It's
they're heated, right?
Steaming, Yeah. Oh yeah, big time. Here, let me show you.
Yeah, let's get a shot of this.
Set up yet, but yeah.
That's great.
It's steaming. I don't know if you could see, I don't know if you could see the steam from there.
And
there's the fabulous,
I need that in my living room.
Video board. Yeah, I don't think that'll fit.
Yeah,
that's big TV.
I think I showed you the picture last time before you guys went out there, man. I literally, when I stayed at Circa, I opened up the curtains in my room and just watched college basketball on that giant TV from my room. It was great.
Absolutely, yes, yeah, you could do that. I did that last night actually for like a minute. It just in case this place really has it down because they understand everyone's need to always be looking at a television all the time. And so watching the NFL yesterday in the sports book at Circa, which is the best sports book on planet Earth, is
not even close.
It was like disorienting. There was just so much going on. It's red zone, except for all the games are on at the same time.
Yeah, because there's a screen that size inside also, by the way. It's not just outside.
Yeah, so it's bigger probably inside. Yeah, like I'm turning my head and there's so much different stuff going on and it's like sensory overload at all times. It's fantastic.
Better experience for March Madness or for the NFL?
Gosh, I really loved sitting in those chairs yesterday.
Because I've only been there in March.
What we were here the second weekend last year, so the games didn't start at like 9 a.m.
Yeah, because I was there for the first weekend.
Yeah, and then I also came back with my friends for Final Four weekend last year, and we had a cabana down there, and that was really good too. But I don't think you can go wrong. Big events.
What a flex!
March
we just
Madness,
had a cabana over there.
Super Bowl. Yeah, hey, we got a cabana right now. Here's Nick in our cabana.
Hi, Nick.
There he is. Say it.
I can't believe you heard
Young
that.
Nick. Yeah. He's near a headset, so he's good. How are you guys doing? How's life back there?
Have you texted Gary Sharp today and wished him a happy birthday?
Today's Gary's birthday?
Today is. He's a ripe 33 years old.
How'd you guys know that it's Gary's birthday?
Somebody apparently didn't know Gary wasn't going to be here today, and there's a giant happy birthday sticker on the window with a card out there for him, and just kind of made the assumption.
Yep.
Nice. No, happy birthday, Gary. They have a scroll, they have a ticker on the bottom of the screen, and they had Omaha versus Lamar. It was like the first thing I saw when I got here yesterday. And then I thought, wow,
Mavs
Gary is in the Eastern time zone, which means he was just many hours in the future.
Which is weird because he was just there 2 weeks ago. He was just in Vegas for the UNLV game, and then he had to go to Cleveland, which who wouldn't trade in Cleveland for Vegas, right?
My man's everywhere.
It's a traveler of the world.
Now I'm back in my ears again. Okay, there you go. Josh, are we figuring things out back there?
Yeah, I was trying something.
He's just pushing all the buttons. Still,
all right.
No idea.
All right. Yep.
Well, Hap, we'll let you get to it, man. Obviously, you guys got a great show lined up, and we'll let you kind of get to everything and have fun. We'll talk to you when you get back.
Excellent, gentlemen. Thank you for holding down the fort this morning.
Sure.
We look forward to hearing more. That is John Schreiner and Jimmy Allen. You can hear them on after hours when the sports schedule allows at 6:00. And that is the crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Monday. Yes, there's some crow to be eaten, but there's also some celebration on deck coming up on 1620 The Zone.
Crossover.
Oh, kill.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, good morning and welcome in. I have a echo in my ear. There we go. It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer and Josh Odson with you. Connor Happer here from fabulous Las Vegas. As you can see on the stream or on the YouTube, if you're watching along with us, the fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada sign, which not far away from where we're seated right now at Circa Resort and Casino. Just checking out the week Hoopsgiving in Las Vegas. There are multiple basketball tournaments in town this week. I checked out the secondary market on KU and Duke, which will be a game happening here in this fabulous city tomorrow night at the T-Mobile Center, home of the Las Vegas Knights. And it's not bad. It's not bad considering taking a stroll over there a little bit. It's all at your fingertips here in Las Vegas. I'm Connor Happer, Josh Hudson back in Omaha. Josh, good morning, my friend. How was your weekend?
Good morning. How we doing? I'm doing okay. Weekend was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, had some downtime. Didn't have an Iowa Western game for the first time in a long time.
I didn't have any downtime because people were just incessantly destroying me on Twitter. I somehow got both sides to dislike me this weekend.
You really did.
I'm just a guy, man. I'm just here. But people, very personal attacks on Connor Happer this weekend.
Where's your
Not
loyalty
great.
even lie?
My loyalty lies with Creighton men's basketball and Nebraska women's basketball. And I realized that there was a very special day on Friday that included both of those teams playing one of their biggest rivals on the same day, and it did not necessarily go well for a person in my shoes. And then the Creighton fans got all mad because I started tweeting about Nebraska football on Saturday, which I don't know. I thought we were I thought this was like Jaysker defense territory. Doesn't a Jaysker tweet about Nebraska football? And then people got mad that I was wearing that shirt that I was wearing on Friday, which didn't reference the University of Nebraska at all. It just said all my homies hate Wisconsin, which is a football reference. People were getting mad at me. There was this weird cauldron of emotion, and there was happiness, sadness, anger. I'm about to cash in receipts on people after Nebraska won their 6th game of the season and bludgeoned Wisconsin on Saturday night, 44-25. But people are like, "Hey, we got to go after this Connor guy. We can't allow him to be happy. We can't have him have a good weekend. This is horrible." So we're gonna push through, Josh. We're gonna make it okay.
If could just put their cigarette out on my nipples, that would be great.
Fan base can never be happy.
No, I'm not gonna be mad at anybody. I'm just gonna soak it all in, and this too shall pass. And hopefully Stephen Ashworth's ankle injury shall pass as well. There's that piece of it.
Just a sprain, huh?
A badly sprained ankle, according to some reporting.
Okay.
So we're here on a Monday. If you have anything for us, we'd love to hear from you. 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor and Josh Show at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. So you say good morning to the YouTube streamers out there. If people are finding us at 1620 The Zone TV on YouTube or on our website, 1620thezone.com, or on an arm of our website, zonetv.live. We're here from Matt Rhule in his Monday press conference today. Matt Rhule, the head coach. Matt Rhule, the head coach of the University of Nebraska football team. He'll be speaking today at around noon. We'll bring that to you as we always do, the final Monday press conference of the season, as Nebraska has their 6th win. Mike Schaefer will join us in about an hour here. We'll talk to him. Apologies on the front end if I get my hours and times mixed up. I'm going to try and continue to tell my brain that I'm on Central Time, but it's very difficult when everything that I look at tells me that it's 8:19 in the morning and not 10:19 in the morning. But we're going to make it through. Sam McKewon will join us at 1 o'clock. That is the lineup powered by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. All right, Josh, let's get into it. People want to talk about the basketball, right? Is it? Well, okay. So here's my question. What's the top story of the weekend?
Ooh.
What's the top story of the weekend? All things considered.
It's 6 wins.
I believe so too.
I think our audience specifically wants to dunk on you and me.
So should I give should I mean there's going to be a segment today where you get to drink my tears, right? Like that will happen. Don't worry. But the question is it now? Or do we talk about the beautiful, beautiful scene that unfolded on Saturday night at Memorial Stadium?
So the basketball story isn't changing between 10 and 2. You can do that anytime. The football will change ever so slightly at noon when Matt Rhule hits the podium.
Maybe.
We'll be talking about other things.
Yeah. All right. So football, that's your answer? Football?
That would be my answer. It's coming, everybody who wants to drink our tears and our pain and ask if Ryan Kalkbrenner is good or tall. Ask if 19 is 20.
Hey, they lost by 11, right? Is 11-10? That's my question. You can round down. If we can round up, you can round down as well.
That's right.
If 29 is 30, then 11 is definitely 10 by those rules. All right, so the quick straw poll returns this. Dave says bowl game. Husks 97 says all caps basketball. Sal says get B-ball out of the way so you can enjoy the rest of the show. Patrick Mahomes is in the comments today. Welcome, Patrick. Top story is what happened with Donnie and Fickle after the game. The amount of times that I saw people see that video and just say, whoa, what's going on here was astronomical last night. I have no idea what was going on.
Rule's absolutely getting asked about it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have to. Yeah, you have to. I like we could dive into it. Maybe that's an end of the hour type of thing here before we get to the press conference. But it'll definitely be brought up. It'll be talked about. Travis says now would be a good time for you guys to get to the Caitlin Clark thing to help distract from Friday night's meeting.
I hadn't thought of it that way.
Maybe we should talk about the Caitlin Clark thing today.
Paying off a bit would be good for the audience.
Let's see. Text from the 402. Connor, what was the Cheeks comment from Saturday night? Josh, did you hear any? This will be how we transition into football. Did you happen to hear any of Big Red overreaction on Saturday evening?
I heard until I listened to all of Rhule's press conference, and then I got home.
One of the most unhinged shows ever. I mean, we're gonna do some topic alert stuff over the next couple of days here in Las Vegas when we'll be hearing Creighton basketball on 1620 The Zone, and we'll have to kind of be off and on at weird times here from Vegas. But so we'll have some fun times, obviously. But Saturday night, and I love it, and I do want to start with the idea that you knew, like, you got the sense, and especially you saw the students pack their way on to the sideline after Nebraska. It was pretty clear that they were going to win, and they were stomping out Wisconsin, right? It wasn't the fact that they won. It wasn't the fact that they held on with a batted down Hail Mary in the back of the end zone at the end of the game. It wasn't that they were up by 14 or 21 and then here comes Wisconsin and you just have to hold them off at the end. No, that would have felt a little bit different. That would have felt a little bit like the end of the Colorado game. The first half of the Colorado game was euphoric, but basically the first half of the Colorado game happened the entire game against Wisconsin on Saturday night. Yep. It was a great performance from Nebraska's offense. Obviously a so-so performance from their defense, but more so than anything, it's the feeling, it's the vibe, it's the thought that it gave you after the game, and it was, man, they just finished that thing. They stomped them out. And so here come the students and other people as they make their way down onto the field, and you just knew it was going to happen. You know we were going to have to field calls and answer texts about how people were on the field. And I don't even know if I haven't heard that much discourse about it, which is honestly really, really good. I saw some like troll accounts over the weekend talking about, Nebraska really storming the field for a 6th win. Guys, Nebraska we talked about the decade of turd on Friday, right? If you're not storming the field, if you're not having fun when something actually good happens and it's a definitive bar that you have now crossed over for the first time in nearly a decade, like it's definitive, right? There's a difference between 5 wins and 6 wins. Nebraska's been at 5 wins plenty. They get to 6 wins and it feels a little bit different. It means something happened, right? Obviously it's a low bar, but it's a bar that Nebraska hasn't jumped over in a really long time now. And it's in all of everything, coaching changes, multiple, and all the arguments in the fan base and where does it need to go and blah, blah, like all the things that we talk about on a weekly basis. And they've gone through all that crap daily. I can't tell you how many times we did the same show over and over and over again on a Monday. I don't know. They just can't get it done. Well, what's wrong? Is it a talent problem? Is it this? Is it that? Is it what is it?
They're never going to win another game again, Connor.
Yeah, who needs to be fired? We've done it all. We've done every one of those shows for the last nearly decade. And so when they actually cross this bar for the first time in, like I said, nearly a decade, have all the fun you want. Celebrate like you just won the national championship. Run on that field. And it's an important thing. I've seen a lot of people make this point too. It's an important thing for this generation of Husker fans, for the young Husker fan who hasn't seen Nebraska go to a bowl game in some cases. Like if you're Dylan Raiola's age since you were in first grade. I mean, that is nuts to think about. So I loved it. I thought it was really raw emotion that just spilled out on Saturday night, and it felt organic. The thing we mess up with these sometimes, and they're like, hey, storm the court or do blackouts or blue outs. We'll talk about that today or whatever. And a lot of times it just gets botched or feels antiquated and feels not organic. Everything that happened in reaction to that game on Saturday night felt organic. And yes, I think it was helped by the fact that Nebraska beat Creighton on Friday night. And knowing that you're going to have Nebraska volleyball in your corner in about 15 minutes, bludgeoning whoever comes in front of them, in this case, their nemesis, Wisconsin, a team that they had their own mental struggles with. So I just wanted to say that I completely and fully support the outpouring of emotion on Saturday night. There's no old manning this thing. There's no act like you've been there before. Have your fun, talk your bleep, do whatever. And hopefully this time, because Nebraska's been in situations similar to this before, where it feels like they crossed some metaphorical bar. Now it's a real bar that they've crossed, and they just have not. They haven't capitalized off of that momentum. So this Friday is a really huge game against Iowa. Capitalize on the momentum, and then go to a bowl game and capitalize on that momentum. And then all of a sudden, Nebraska's won 8 games, and everything feels way different than it did 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago or even 72 hours ago. I mean, I thought it was a fantastic show of emotion on Saturday night.
Momentous occasion, live it up, celebrate. Found it odd that a lot of Oklahoma accounts were badgering Nebraska fans for storming the field for winning game number 6 when they did the same thing many hours later.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, but they beat Alabama though, Josh.
Yeah, that was we beat Alabama course field storming. That wasn't 6 wins different. Field storming. Yeah, it's very different. Very different.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I thought you said on Big Red Overreaction, and I had not yet watched the game at that point. But you were right when you said that game was never in doubt. There was no, no, here we go again. There was no, I've seen this movie before. That was a butt kicking for pretty much 60 minutes. The defense played like they played against Colorado with that spirit, that passion, that swagger that we've been asking, hey, where's that been since Colorado? And they showed up. I imagine there will be some glory speech at Chasing 3 this week that Matt Rhule really unveiled on them before they walked out against Wisconsin. But it was a great win. It was a great weekend for the university as a whole, too.
What they did was a risk. We talked about it last week. What they did and how they decided that they were going to put all their chips, Matt Rhule in particular, he was going to put all of his chips, so to speak, as we're in Las Vegas, or I'm in Las Vegas, on the idea that we're going to do it with the seniors. We have to back these guys, whether it's Isaac Gifford or Deshaun Singleton or Ty Robinson or Nash Hutmaker, guys on the offensive line, older people who have been here for a long time in the program. John Bullock, I think he's in that conversation as well. And Nebraska outwardly told us last week, and really through giant swaths of the season now, that they have had problems in their defensive backfield. Matt Rhule said, if you're in a cover 2, play the cover 2. He's talking about Isaac Gifford. He's talking about Deshaun Singleton. Those guys have had really tough years. And I thought it was sort of poetic that Deshaun Singleton came up with the game-ending interception off of a tipped ball. I was like, wow, of course it's Deshaun Singleton. And Isaac Gifford had a couple nice plays behind the line of scrimmage on Saturday. Not that this is over, and not that that was the last thing that they'll do, but it was the last thing that they'll do in Memorial Stadium, because those guys, by the way, just a quick preview ahead to Friday, they're going to have to be really, really, really good on Friday because Iowa runs the ball really well. All right. So, but that's a conversation for, tomorrow or Wednesday. But they took a risk and they said, no, I think we have some young guys who can play. Obviously they're young. They don't have much experience. They're going to be mistake prone. We think that it's a better idea if this group does this job. We think that it would do wonders for our team, our culture, and the next group if this group does this right now. And if they don't, then the next group will have to do it. And Matt Rhule said after the game, he said, guys who were seniors on last year's team, like Ethan Piper and Luke Reimer, he said, when they do it next year, I'm talking about this year, we're going to take you to the bowl game with us. We're going to build this program on the shoulders of your hard work. And I want you to get it done. But even if you don't, you're laying a base for what happens next. But Nebraska, it came to a real boiling point on Saturday night. They needed to cross that bar. I'm trying to come up with an analogy of where you just keep doing the easy stuff over and over and over again. If you're building a foundation of something with bricks and you have this giant pile of bricks, you have the largest foundation, but you need to go to the next level and you're like, no, I'm just going to keep laying bricks. I don't really want to do the next new thing. I just want to keep laying bricks. That's what Nebraska kind of had done. They needed to take that next step. It was time to take that next step. And they did. So now we get to find out what that means in terms of what that means to the people inside of the program. Does it mean that Nebraska is beyond this step and the next step is the next step now, and or does it all come crashing down again on Friday? But either way, I mean, you had to feel that on Saturday. It's a weight off of Nebraska's shoulders. There's no doubt about it. And so, to do it against Wisconsin, to break a bowl streak, to win a friggin' trophy, no matter how stupid it is, even though I love freedom, people forget that.
Connor Happer, pro freedom.
Yeah, I'm here for freedom. I'll run for mayor too, although I don't think my approval rating will be very high at the moment. They against Wisconsin at home, they're struggling, right? That's the kind of game that Nebraska just hasn't taken advantage of in the past. Think about a week ago against USC. And yeah, they're more talented, but it's the same situation. They're coming in. They had fired a coordinator. They have no idea what the heck they're going to be like. They are a downtrodden team. And Nebraska was not able to take advantage of the mistakes that USC handed on a silver platter to them. In the Wisconsin game, Nebraska did take advantage of those things. They took a step. I thought we saw an intensity that was not replicated since the Wisconsin game, since the Colorado game. I thought they played with, I think they played getting downhill, right? They were playing. It felt like they were playing downhill. I thought the tone was set by the opening kickoff. Like taking
a good kickoff return.
A good kickoff return. Hell, special teams were generally pretty good the entire way, except for a long kickoff return by Wisconsin that was, by the way, set up because Micah Mazuka spiked the football in the end zone. One of the most bizarre and stupid penalties that I've ever seen. Completely ridiculous. Hey, I'm going to hand the ball to the offensive lineman after I score a touchdown, and he spikes it. Oh, penalty. And then, of course, it results in a 15-yard penalty in Wisconsin, taking it a long way on the ensuing kickoff. But, yeah, there's a whole bunch of detail stuff. Obviously, we're going to talk about the offense. Its improvement over the last two games. Dylan Raiola seems back. He seems confident. He seems, like he is not reacting. He is anticipating again. That throw that he had in the back of the end zone to Banks, feathered and layered and had to have the perfect touch and squeezed in between a couple, maybe three Wisconsin defenders. It was perfect. It was beautiful. That's what he's capable of. And now that he's confident again, I don't know. The sky's the limit. That was always the goal of the last three games of the regular season for Dana Holgorsen. Get Dylan Raiola feeling comfortable again. Get him to feel good again. Because, yes, you want to keep that guy in your program, but also you want to get the most out of him that you possibly can. And so that was, it feels, now Nebraska feels, not invincible is not the right word, but it feels like they are the kind of team now where, all right, if you get down or things aren't going your way, well, you still got Dylan Raiola in your corner, right? They still got that guy. That was gone for the majority of the season. So there was a lot there, obviously, from Saturday night.
Yeah, it was a good win. I thought Dylan did a good job of taking what the defense gave him, and when it was time to take a shot, it was time to take a shot. You saw more of that tempo that was there that we saw flashes of last week, and I thought that was good. That's going to be a good thing to have in your back pocket going forward.
Alex writes in on YouTube, can we talk about spiking the ball? Is that really where we're drawing the line on sportsmanlike conduct penalties these days with all the celebrations they allow? That seems silly. Yeah, we can talk about it. I don't know that there's much to talk about. It's the dumbest. Here we go. The music's on, baby. It's the dumbest thing ever. Spiking the ball? Like, why is that the thing? Why is that the thing?
It wasn't the ball carrier.
But even if it was the ball carrier, he gets a penalty too, right? Like if it was Dowdell who spiked it instead of giving it over to his teammate and spiking it, isn't that still an unsportsmanlike? Like there's so many relaxed rules on celebrations on touchdowns in the end zone now, and all of a sudden the line is drawn at spiking the football. Not all of a sudden. It's kind of, I guess it's always been there. I don't really understand it.
Very weird. Super weird.
Travis says 2 hip thrusts is okay, but the third hip thrust will get you flagged. Them's the rules. Shout out to the Key and Peele sketch on that one. Yeah, I don't get it. It doesn't really make sense to me. But guess what? We don't have to talk about any of that garbage this morning because Nebraska's headed to their we don't have to talk about bad officiating. Isn't it amazing that there was so much bad officiating in that game still, but yet Nebraska won by 19 points. Is 19-20, Josh? I'm thinking so.
Definitely
They won by 19 points, and all of a sudden that kind of stuff doesn't really matter much. So we're off and running here on a Monday. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you. I'm live at the Circa Stadium Swim, by the way, where the song Alejandro by Lady Gaga is playing right now. Can you hear it, Josh, or what does it sound like?
I can hear ambient music in the background. I cannot make out the song.
Yeah, it's Alejandro.
Okay.
They're just about to open this place in 20 minutes, so it's not quite 9 o'clock in the morning.
Something closes in Vegas.
Yeah, from Sunday into Monday, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and they do close this pool in particular, but the casino, that baby don't close.
No. Okay.
That baby don't close. All right, so we want to hear from you guys throughout the show, whatever you want to get into. I got some text to read on the other side, some emails as well. Come back. Matt Rhule will have his press conference here in about an hour or so. Mike Schaefer will join before that. It's the Connor Happer Show on a Monday on 1620 The Zone. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you here on the Connor Happer Show on a Monday, 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Like to give special shout out to production assistance this morning being applied by young Nick Grimm, who just came by me with a camera and he's vlogging himself.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. He's vlogging other people, I guess, too. So that's good. I'm Connor Happer. I'm at Circa Resort and Casino. You just heard that it's Hoopsgiving. Josh, I also really enjoyed your our slate there that we had up on the YouTube during the break.
Oh, let's throw it back
Vegas
up there,
Vacation parody. You know the way to my heart, my friend.
I really do.
What a movie. So I'm Clark Griswold in this case. I guess my wife is still Beverly D'Angelo,
That's right.
And Cousin Eddie is still in the movie, but Rusty and Audrey have been replaced by Josh and Nick. So that's great.
Seemed fitting. Seemed like the most fitting place to put those two.
I'm Clark. Josh and Nick are Audrey and Rusty. I put $1 and I got a car. Put $1 and I got a car. Put $1 and I got a car. All right, so that's pretty good stuff. Josh, I have received a text on the text line here, 402-951-1620. Brian asks, any word on if Kalkbrenner has been tested for mono yet?
You kind of have to. You're going to have to test that guy.
Why are we always so mad at me about this? Like, I haven't even said my take yet. I haven't even commented on this game yet, right? So
it's an in-state rivalry game. They want to dunk.
You guys don't even know what I'm gonna say. Like, am I gonna? You're like, oh, I know what they're gonna do on 1620 The Zone on Monday. They're gonna make excuses for the Jays and they're gonna degrade the Huskers because that's what they do on that show. No, Nebraska put together an incredible plan. They alphaed Creighton, right? Did you see Jawan Gary just alpha mailing all over the place? Did you see Berke and Andrew Morgan and Braxton Mia just fronting the post all day long, not letting Ryan Kalkbrenner? I don't even think he really had a touch inside the lane. I mean, it was nuts. The one shot he took was from outside the three-point line. It was incredible, the effort. So the risk that Nebraska ran and has run playing Creighton before, including last year in a similar scenario, right? We're going to just crowd Kalkbrenner, not allow him to touch the basketball, but we do, of course, run the risk that Creighton shooters get hot and then it turns into a disaster. Here was the difference this time. Nebraska was so aggressive and so impressive with their closeouts. Creighton had no opportunities. The only thing that they could find, I mean, literally, they were resorting to almost full court outlet passes to try and get out and run in transition with Jemiah Neal or whoever else was leading the break, or Pop Isaacs, whoever was leading. They could not breathe. It was as impressive of a defensive effort as I have ever seen. Dead serious. That was incredible what Nebraska did. And that's not to say that Creighton is like a super dangerous team at the moment. I think, Max said it after the game against Kansas City last weekend. He said, I just don't know if we're ready. I don't know if we're ready for we really got to get ready for what Nebraska is going to throw at us, because Creighton they had played nobody in their schedule so far, and they had kind of sleptwalked through the first 4 games. We just didn't know what they were, right? And Nebraska basketball did to Creighton what Nebraska football did to Colorado in the first half of football.
Good comp.
They just blitzed them, and it was a game that was never in doubt. Creighton got it down to 7, I think, at one point. Crowd finally got into it a little bit, but outside of that, there was no breathing. There was no breathing in the game for Creighton. So how could you be mad at that? how could Nebraska fans be mad at that? It's like, Happer, he's dead to me. It's like, no, that was an incredible performance. Credit to Fred Hoiberg, but credit especially to those 3 big men, Jawan Gary, Connor Season, who made some tough twos. Like, Nebraska was going to have to make tough twos because they know that Kalkbrenner is such a threat defensively. And isn't that what I said on Friday, Josh? I said that Kalkbrenner, I think, is going to be have more of an impact defensively than offensively in this game. And obviously
that is what you said. Yes, I don't think that's what you meant. What
do you mean?
I don't think you meant, hey, Ryan Kalkbrenner's only going to take 1 shot. And
no, I didn't think it'd be that bad. No, I didn't think it'd be that bad. That's for sure. Like, I thought he would get more touches than he ended up getting, but we knew that that's what Nebraska was going to do. They've projected it to us for the last several years. They're just going to crash down on him, and Creighton was going to have to make some shots and get out in transition. So they didn't, and I underestimated what Nebraska was capable of, and I maybe slightly overestimated Creighton a little bit too, but not much. Like, I thought that I thought that they could lose. I was trying to tell people all week that the game was going to be competitive, and Josh was like, no. So if you're going to be mad at anybody, yell at Josh Hodson, candidate for mayor. Josh, you
mayor of what? Mayor of what? Omaha or Nebraska?
Josh, you Jasker, I bet you were just celebrating that Nebraska football win on Saturday.
I was.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's disgusting to me.
When Fred Hoiberg drew that defensive strategy up, I mean, he had to go, well, hope this works for 10 minutes. Hope this works for a half. Hope this works maybe 30 minutes if everything's going really great for us. They're going to get their runs. Nope, they didn't even really get that. It was suffocating.
You heard him say after the game that they put Mia on him at first, and Mia is gigantic. But the thing about Mia is he's maybe not quite in the best shape at the moment. And the same could probably go for Berke as well. But Hoiberg goes, yeah, we threw Mia on him at first, and he did really, really good for 3 minutes, and then we just had to put the next guy in. And so that's what they did. They just rotated through any combination of 2 out of the 3 of those guys with Morgan, Berke, and Mia. Juwan Gary helping out a little bit as well, chasing people down, making big shots. They just, anytime Creighton got any sort of momentum going, Nebraska was on the other end to make an offensive play too. I mean, it was whether it was an Essentian Midi or Bryce Williams kind of pulling up a little bit too, Gary making a 3 and then, blowing kisses and stuff like that and everything. I mean, totally Alfred Creighton.
Kalkbrenner looked woefully disinterested in that basketball game in the final 10 minutes.
See, everybody always does that to him.
He looks like that a lot. That might just be what he is.
That's what I'm saying.
But, man, Ashworth went down and just – it was kind of over.
Well, I think it was frustrating, obviously, for Creighton. But, Kalkbrenner kind of always does that. So I don't want to take it too far with him. But he does not always get shut down the way he was shut down in that game.
It had to be super frustrating for him, especially given that he had only – missed 4 shots all year, and I guess now he's only missed 5 shots all year, which is still impressive.
That's true.
Maybe that's it. He's like, I can't mess up my percentage.
Yeah.
I can't be taking a bunch of shots here, guys.
What a win for Nebraska. We talked about it on Friday. It was a huge game for them because there was their one non-conference game that one of 2, I guess, non-conference games that they could really hang up on their wall and say, hey, look, look at our resume here. And they had a chance against St. Mary's, lost to them, and beat Creighton on the road. That one's gonna hold up for you. I know people's reaction is like, well, gosh. And for Nebraska's side, they're like, oh, well, I just hope Creighton does well enough so they could help Nebraska be a quad 1 win. And Creighton fans are like, boy, I just don't know. Are we any good anymore? So both sides are like kind of handshake memeing. They're kind of like agreeing with each other, saying, I don't know if Creighton's going to be that good. Creighton always gets better throughout the rest of the season, and they will this time as well. They're going to have to ask younger guys to step up. They're going to have to ask, Pop to do some different things. They're going to have to ask Ty Davis to do more on offense, and come into the game more without Stephen Ashworth for a period of time. But Creighton will be fine. All you have to be is top 50 in the net to have that be a quad 1 win, and it will be. I mean, Creighton will be top 50 in the net. So,
or else something has gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah. So I know people are being maybe a little facetious on that, but I wouldn't worry about it that much.
What do you think of this week for Creighton? Because I mean, there's some heavy hitters in this mega NIL tournament.
Yeah, Texas A&M is really athletic. So if they don't, and San Diego State is always really athletic, so they're going to get 2 really tough defensive challenges, offensively for Creighton. They have, so far this year, when pressed, and not literally pressed like full court press, but when athletically pressed, Creighton has not responded well. So that was always the concerns with the teams going into the, I guess before Trey and maybe we'll just take it before Trey and Baylor, right? That was always kind of the thing before them. Hey, if they get pressed, if they're not making 3-pointers, they're in trouble. I think you're kind of back to that this year. I think you're less athletic, you're less, You have less abilities to have individual playmakers, right? Trey Baylor just created so much for you. And then you're asking Ryan Kalkbrenner to score a lot. So if they're not doing that, it has to be the 3-point ball. And Creighton shot what 90% of their shots were threes on Friday. I mean, I got the stats right in front of me. It was some insane number.
42 of 52 shots were threes.
42 of 52 shots were threes. So it's over 80% of their shots were 3-pointers, which is, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. It's crazy. But that speaks to Nebraska's defensive prowess in that game. Unrelenting defensive prowess. It was a heck of a job by them. Plenty to talk about still from that game. Nebraska's destinations for a bowl. We're an hour through here at Circa in Las Vegas. Josh Otson back in studio. Matt Rhule will be on the show. We'll have his Monday press conference in a little under an hour here. Mike Schaefer will join probably at about 11:20 today. So we'll call him a little bit early so we can make sure we get all that stuff out of the way. We will be back. Connor Happer, Josh Otson with you on the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Connor Happer and Josh Odson with you here on the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Nebraska fans are excited to see what Texas A&M does against Creighton this week. They're fantasizing about more ways that Creighton can continue to go down the crapper this week, which I always hear mixed things on this. Like, do Nebraska fans want Creighton to go down the crapper, or do they want them to be good so the win can represent something for the program?
A loss to Texas A&M in basketball would be embarrassing. Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, Josh, you can't flip this.
No, I just want everyone to be consistent. I want to know where everyone stands on the issues.
I don't think that's what they're saying.
Okay.
I think you're maybe jumping through a couple hoops to get there.
Okay.
To get there.
I don't want to jump through hoops. I want to sit in this chair.
Travis says, if Wilcher hits a dagger to solidify a Creighton loss, oh boy, I will have a huge laugh. CJ Wilcher, people forget, plays for Texas A&M.
Where's that
Trev
cowboy
Alberts. Hat? Trev Alberts is the athletic director of Texas A&M.
Oh, really?
CJ Wilcher, 8 of 19 from 3 so far this year for the Aggies, shooting 42% from behind the line. Just about one of the – I mean, Wade Taylor's going to jack up those threes for Texas A&M, but other than that, yeah, that's the story for them. People are people are now calling me crapper on the YouTube.
Come on now.
Trust me, you can't hurt me today on the YouTube. I got it all too much over the weekend. It was unrelenting.
Also, I don't think anything hurts in Vegas.
Oh, I don't know about that, Josh.
Okay.
There's ways that it can hurt. Now, one thing I will say about Vegas that doesn't apply to anywhere else is that time is a construct here in Vegas. You walk into a casino. I mean, we got here yesterday, Josh, at, it was about 8 o'clock local time, our time out here.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just inside for the rest of the day, and all of a sudden I looked at after a full day of watching the NFL, like there were certain benchmarks that we hit, like, oh, the NFL's starting, so it must be noon or 10 o'clock around here. But after a certain period of time, it's just like, okay, do we eat lunch now? Do we eat dinner now? There's no sunlight, in the casino. It's just, it's just noises and televisions basically all day long. That's kind of the story.
And no clocks.
No clocks. No clocks. If you didn't bring a watch with you, then you're SOL. You're just going to have to guess at that point. By the way, I saw some bowl projections this morning.
Ooh, hit me.
Are you back into bowl projections?
I never left.
Yeah, you always do look at those.
I do.
Some people were unwavering in the fact that Nebraska was going to go to a bowl this year. Some people weren't. Here's a good breakdown this morning from Scott Docterman of The Athletic.
What's up, Doc?
So I'm just gonna read you what he wrote under the ReliaQuest Bowl, which I believe is the game formerly known as the Outback Bowl.
That's right.
That game is in Tampa on, by the way, New Year's Eve at 11 a.m. Central Time. Breakdown. With Nebraska 6-5, 3-5 in the Big Ten, becoming bowl eligible for the first time since 2016, any bowl would love to have the Huskers drawing swarms of fans to town. Iowa hasn't appeared in Tampa since 2018 and enjoys a mutually beneficial relationship with that bowl. Should the Big Ten land 4 teams in the college football playoff, which seems overwhelmingly likely at this point, it appears the winner of Iowa and Nebraska's Black Friday matchup at Kinnick Stadium would determine the Big Ten's participant in the ReliaQuest Bowl. It's a strong possibility the bowl will select the Hawkeyes over Illinois, which appeared in Tampa 2 years ago, even if Indiana falls out of the playoff and Iowa beats Nebraska. So, the thing that we had said for many, many years, my apologies, my throat is getting dry because I'm in the desert. The thing that we had been saying for many, many years is that The second Nebraska gets that 6th win, they're going to be looked at a lot differently than all the other 6-win Big Ten teams, specifically by the bowl people. By everybody else, probably not, but by the bowl people, definitely, because I see every Saturday at Memorial Stadium that Nebraska has a home game. I see these bowl representatives, and they're just smiling from ear to ear. And maybe it's the guy from the Orange Bowl, and he'll say, boy, we really miss you guys down in Miami. And then it's the guy from the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and he'll be like, man, we got to find a way to get this fan base out there. And they'll ask questions and things like that. And so I don't think it's overly self-consumed to say bowl people are going to go above and beyond to select Nebraska for their bowl game now that they are eligible. You still have to follow a general order, right? You don't want a massacre by whichever other team is going to be in the bowl because you get this mismatch, all because you wanted the fan base to migrate to your location. But it's been proven time and time again that Nebraska fans are incredibly passionate and will travel. Have football, will travel. And they will do that, and the bowl representatives will select Nebraska accordingly. There's no doubt.
Yeah, they're going to get picked at the first chance they can, given that sort of rubric that you laid out between competitive game, TV ratings, and making money for themselves. Because it's going to be what a great month to be a travel agent. You got the most traveled Thanksgiving holiday ever.
Yeah, people forget that, Josh. Thank you, AAA, for telling us that again this morning.
Nebraska's bowl game, and then what I can only assume will be the most traveled Christmas holiday ever.
Hey, do you have a travel agent? Have you ever had a travel agent?
No, my parents did back in like the 90s or something. I don't know anyone that does. But if you
I don't think you need it. Well, I shouldn't say that, but
there are probably a very small percentage of people that are like, I don't want to do it. You do it all. Just tell me where to go. And
yeah, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
My mom was a travel agent.
Oh, really?
For a long time. So
got out of the game.
Got out of the game. Got out of the game while the game was good. Saw the future.
Mm-hmm.
The other bowl that was mentioned here alongside Nebraska by Doctorman in the Athletics Bowl preview today was the ever familiar Music City Bowl.
People are very out on this bowl game.
Well, they just went there last time they went to a bowl. It was just 8 years ago, Josh. It was just like yesterday.
Well, I bet Nashville hasn't changed in the last 8 years.
Oh, there are some different things going on in Nashville right now.
That's right.
Doctorman writes, several Big Ten teams are contending for this bowl spot, and the one who wouldn't be considered, Maryland, isn't eligible anyway. If Illinois and Iowa are off the board, then this is a prime spot for Nebraska. If the Huskers beat Iowa and head to Tampa, then the Hawkeyes are a possibility despite playing in Nashville 2 years ago. Other potential candidates include Michigan, 6-5, and Minnesota, who is 6-5. But you can already see how Nebraska is being talked about compared to other 6-win teams in the conference. Michigan has 6 wins. Minnesota has 6 wins. Iowa has 7 at this point, right? So you can already see how they're being compared to them.
Michigan fans aren't going anywhere this season.
I don't think so.
Because it's a sad 6.
Great traveling fan base, but definitely it's a sad season for them.
It's a sad season. They just won it all last year, so your Relia Quest Bowl or your Music City Bowl just doesn't wow them in the same way.
So the breakdowns here by the people that know what they're talking about, I think, have Nebraska already off the board by the time you're selecting teams for the Pinstripe Bowl, right? So the Pinstripe Bowl is the next in the pecking order there at Yankee Stadium on December 28th. Doctorman says, presuming Illinois, Iowa, and Nebraska are off the board, this would be a prime location for Michigan. And then
imagine taking Illinois before Nebraska. I understand. Illinois
not
beat
gonna
Nebraska. I understand that, but
not going to happen.
Nah.
Not going to happen. Zach emails in.
Hi, Zach.
On the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. By the way, Zach, I've received your various emails this week, your various correspondences regarding basketball in the state. They have been noted. I'll just say that. But Zach emails in. He says this is how the Nebraska football season needs to end. A win over Iowa on Friday and a matchup against Oklahoma in a bowl game, giving Nebraska a chance for wins this season over Colorado, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Oklahoma. That would mean half of their wins were against rivals and on the season, which that kind of would be cool. I actually agree with Zach.
Well, something to that for sure. Oklahoma became the dream opponent over the weekend.
Oklahoma. Well, how about Kansas?
Sure.
Now, the way that Nebraska is getting talked about in the bowl game sphere here is that they're going to probably go up against an SEC team, right? The Music City Bowl is an SEC game, and the ReliaQuest Bowl is an SEC game. That's if they win. If they lose, they could theoretically drop down a spot, and then you're looking at it maybe an ACC game in the Pinstripe Bowl, but whatever it might be. Chance writes in, he says, I don't want any part of Kansas right now. I would not want to see Devin Neal against Nebraska's rush defense at the moment.
They're playing some ball.
Yeah. What a weekend in college football, man. What a weekend in college football. Indiana loses to Ohio State in the ultimate narrative game.
Predictable.
What'd you think about Ohio State putting another one on late there? Thought that was mildly interesting.
Seemed to be a shot. Okay.
And they were Ohio State was not afraid to dive into those waters after the game either. They were like, hey, man, the coach was talking about Googles and stuff. I don't know about that guy.
I think every tweet from the Ohio State football account had a reference to Google in it.
Have we finally turned all the way on the Indiana narrative to I'm glad Ohio State's dunking on them? Or is this just a big meteor situation?
A little bit of big meteor for me personally. Everyone's different, but I'm glad we saw them against a good team for once.
By your tone right now, Josh, what are you saying?
The exact thing everyone said would happen happened.
Yeah, but are you? I don't want to read you wrong. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Do you think that team should make the playoff?
They are going to make the playoff because the SEC bleeped the bed on Saturday.
Do you think they should make the playoff? Do I think
they should? I've come around on that a little bit from last week. They've probably played their way in.
Do you think they should make the playoff?
Yeah, sure. Let them in.
Mine is an emphatic yes. I don't like. We could do the whole thing about who's good and who's got talent and whatever, but they're going to beat Purdue on Saturday, and they're not going to go to the Big Ten championship game. But they have. I think we oftentimes are guilty in the college football sphere of having two different conversations at once. Should they make the playoff? And can they win the playoff, or can they advance in the playoff? Sure. Those are two different conversations. I think the should they make the playoff conversation is based not on if they have a chance to advance in the playoff or who they're going to go up against or how talented they are. It should be exclusively based on what you've done this year, whether it be from a resume perspective, from a statistical perspective, from a strength, however you want to grade it, probably all of those combined. Indiana, what the season that they've put together, they are deserving of an opportunity to go to the college football playoff. I will say that unequivocally and completely. They should, can, will be in the college football playoff.
A lot of the things I said about Florida State last year apply to Indiana this year, even though Indiana's not undefeated like Florida State was last year. They have earned the right to get their skulls caved in by Notre Dame Notre Dame beating someone in the playoff. Imagine that. But whoever it may be.
And I'm not quite certain that would happen either. that first drive was pretty eye-opening from Indiana. They marched right down the field and scored on Ohio State. They got a 3-and-out right away on the first defensive possession as well. And then obviously Ohio State made some changes and basically said, all right, we feel like we could just blitz everybody up the middle and get home and win. And they were right. So we do this thing where we try to maybe let some or not let some people into the club. The fact of the matter is, Indiana is not Ohio State, and Indiana is not Georgia. The teams that we're comparing them to are the group below them, the Penn States of the world, the Ole Misses of the world, and I'm just saying generally, not necessarily this year, but like they're in that category, and they're one of the best of that category this year. I think just off of the eye test. So yeah, I think that team deserves to be in the college football playoff, and they obviously, I think, will be at this point, barring a huge upset on Saturday against Purdue. Plenty more to talk about from college football this weekend. Colorado losing, BYU losing, and people storming the field, and Kenny Dillingham is a psycho. Alabama losing, and Ole Miss losing, and there was so much. And then, of course, back to Nebraska football as well. Matt Rhule will have his Monday press conference at the top of the hour. Coming back, let's have a conversation with one Mike J. Schaefer of Husker 247, coming up on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. More of the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. We are efforting Mike Schaefer of Husker 247. Is this correct, Josh?
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, we'll get him. I told him we'd call about it. It is 11:20, right?
That's right. You got it. You nailed it.
Okay. Try and call him back and see what happens. Because on my phone it says, or on my watch it says 9:20, and it's very confusing to me. But yeah, I told him we were going to call a couple minutes early today. Schaefer will join in a minute. Travis writes in on YouTube. He says, God, I hope Schaefer absolutely dunks on Connor in this segment, which would ironically give Schaefer more field goals than Kalkbrenner made on Friday. I will say that it was pretty funny. All of the, hey, this has more field goals than Kalkbrenner, including but not limited to John Hull on Saturday. John Hull, by the way. He's on a heater right now. The snaps, by the way, still not better, but John Hull just continues to make the field goals for Nebraska, which is pretty awesome to see. I've enjoyed it's as Travis says, it's been a great bit. It has been a pretty good bit. That's the stuff that I've kind of enjoyed over the weekend. Some of the other things that have been a little, I don't know, that have been hurled in various people's direction, less fun, obviously. All right, so we'll see if we can get a hold of Mike Schaefer coming up here in just a couple minutes, and we have many things to get to with him, including how was his weekend. I know Mike was at the basketball game on Friday in Omaha, wearing a hat that said sports on it. So he was just here for all of the sports. What's our update, Josh? Sorry. Just not answering?
Nope, going to voicemail.
All right. Let me send a text.
Yeah.
We are calling. Or we have called. So that's fine. We'll see if we can move on to some other things. Dave writes in on YouTube.
Hi, Dave.
Points scored this weekend. 18 Dante Dowdell. 18 Dante Dowdell. 14 John Holt. John Holt 6. Heinrich Harburg 6. Jamal Banks 4. Right call. That's worded in a very interesting way, but I think these are accurate. Yes. Also, people. The other thing that we'll have probably a minute to get to a little bit later on in the show is the video. Everyone wants to talk about the video of
Michael's video?
No, not Michael's video. Not this time. The video of Donnie and Luke Fickell.
Donnie.
And what's happening there. So we'll have time to talk about that. I see something lit up in the back. That means we have Mike Schaefer of Husker 247 joins us now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. Schaefer, our apologies for our wacko phone systems. Good morning. How are you?
You're good. I had my phone sitting to the side, knew that a call was going to be coming, and just forgot what time it was. So that's on me.
You were actually getting the call? You were actually getting the call.
I'm not an old person, so my phone's on silent at all times. I just know when generally expecting phone calls, and I didn't have the AirPods ready to go, so it's just me. It's just a failure on my end of it. I wouldn't think much more of it than that.
Okay, that's okay. I didn't take it as a personal attack. How was your weekend? People are wondering how Mike Schaefer's weekend was.
It was. Look, it was pretty solid. I went to a basketball game on Friday with no expectations and walked out enjoying it. Saw you on the big screen several times. Enjoyed the fact that you sort of got dragged in Twitter mentions from people just because your name is Connor. I like that.
I wasn't just that, Schaefer, by the way. Yeah.
Well, you had a prediction, I'm sure, that didn't go right. But
That's right.
What are you going to do? You know, your job is to make predictions, and sometimes you're going to be wrong. You know, so that happened. But that was enjoyable. The game was pretty surprising. Nebraska looked as good as they have, obviously, all season. And And so I wasn't so much prepared for that. And then obviously football rolls around. That I was less surprised about. That I thought was fairly possible. I didn't think Wisconsin was good. I thought Nebraska was a better football team than they had been playing. And on one night in Saturday in November, everything came to fruition.
How do we explain what Dana Holgorsen has done with Nebraska's offense over the last 2 weeks since he's been here?
I think a lot of it is just it's sort of simple efficiency, and he's just taking advantage of things that he's always kind of taken advantage of. I mean, one of the most noticeable things on Saturday was that Nebraska would stack receivers out to the left and then run behind a pulling interior offensive lineman to the right. I mean, this isn't reinventing the wheel. This is what Dana Holgorsen did when he was at Oklahoma State. He did when he was at West Virginia with his run game. I mean, they would spread people out, and then he would see where numbers are going to be. And if he felt like there was an advantage, he would run to where the advantage is. And so that's just kind of what he's done at other places. And I also think it helps that Nebraska's running a little bit more from under center instead of always being in the shotgun. I thought that was a bit of a hindrance for them earlier in the year. I thought they looked better in that regard. He was able to get Dylan Raiola into the flow of the game early, and I think that allowed him to play a little bit better. I thought some of the best passes from Dylan came later in the night, and, the best one was the one to Nair that probably should have been a touchdown. So, that ball needs to be caught in most situations. It just kind of shows you, like, the arm talent that Dylan absolutely possesses that we just hadn't seen as much of here in the last month or so. So I don't think he reinvented the wheel. I don't think he did anything, that you would consider to be spectacular. What he did was he basically put Nebraska in situations to be successful, and I think confidence just kind of grew with that team, and they caught a Wisconsin team that's not that good. I mean, that's the other thing of it. Like, this happens in college football. It seems weird when Nebraska is the one getting to enjoy it, but it does happen.
How do we explain because I agree with you. It's really pretty simple stuff, and obviously he's a very, very good play caller. He has that on his resume, so all that stuff counts toward it. But I think when people watch it and you don't necessarily know the concepts that they're trying to do or the players that they're trying to get involved, you'll notice something about them that exists now that didn't exist maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's that the offense has a pep in its step, a little bit of swagger to it now. Obviously, that starts with the confidence from the quarterback, but, I mean, are you surprised that it hasn't taken much tweaks just to get Nebraska to the point on offense where it seems confident again?
No, because this team existed in September. I mean, the dumbest part of this whole season is that it just disappeared on a really windy day against Rutgers, never to be seen again until Nebraska played Wisconsin nearly 6 weeks later. Like, it's just it's baffling to me that Nebraska was struggling as much as it did on offense with how good it looked against Illinois. Like, the version of Nebraska that should have probably beat Illinois in September on a Friday, the version of Nebraska that played Wisconsin this past Saturday, they're not that different. I mean, actually, in some ways, Nebraska's defense is worse now than it was in that game in September. But the offense put up 44 points. They could have done that against Illinois. They didn't take advantage of opportunities. You didn't have John Hole making field goals at that time. You weren't quite the same team, but we saw in that they could throw the ball downfield. I mean, those are the two best passing games Dylan Raiola has had here at Nebraska, and it's not like it hasn't been there. It just disappeared, and Marcus Satterfield could not figure out how to bring it back or even a version of it. And so I felt like coming into the year, this was a better Nebraska team than a 500 or barely above 500 team. They look like they're going to finish 500 or barely above 500. I think it's a reflection of underachieving in the middle of the schedule. And I really don't want to pretend like Dana Holgorsen just invented a new football team here. He was able to coax performances that have been there all along. I mean, if anything, people should be a little disappointed that this is the season you're getting instead of the one that could have been. Yeah,
I think there's always that angle to it too, Schaefer. You look back and you're like, oh, this was out there for us the entire way, and we just
and I don't want to minimize the fact that they got the 6 wins. I also just don't want to I think we need to be able to have the discussion that Nebraska both underachieved and met its stated goal. I think there has to be the nuance that both exist when discussing the 2024 season.
Do you think a lot of how the offseason will be approached in terms of what changes will be dictated on what happens in the next 2 football games for them? Or I guess how do you think about what might happen in December differently now than you might have before Saturday night?
I don't know that I think that there's going to be a lot that'll change just because of the results of Iowa or a bowl game. I think Matt Rhule has a general idea of where he wants to go. I think that Dana Holgorsen is a big part of that. I would be somewhat shocked if he's not the offensive coordinator for 2025. I would be surprised if there's not future staff changes. What that exactly looks like, I don't know, but I would imagine Matt Rhule has a pretty strong idea even right now. But the more difficult thing is, what does the roster look like on December 9th when the transfer portal opens? How many guys are you expecting are leaving, and maybe there's not necessarily a surprise that some are leaving, but there's probably some people that you're not expecting are receiving the tampering phone calls and want to see what their value is on the open market or whatever it is. So I think the more unknown has less to do with the coaching staff for Matt Rhule than it does what the player procurement and retention looks like for his roster right now.
Yep. Schaefer, how about Emmett Johnson? You've been in the Emmett Johnson hive, I think, for a long time, and people always say, "Hey, look, you need to get that guy more carries." And maybe it's not more carries, but it's definitely more snaps. And he's hit a new gear over the last couple of weeks. I mean, are you at the point where you're looking at Emmett Johnson as closer to the type of guy that Nebraska has been waiting for at that position, or how do you view him differently now?
I mean, I don't want to misrepresent myself here. I haven't been the one pounding the table for more Emmett Johnson. I thought Saturday's performance was...
My apologies then. I didn't. I put you in the wrong.
No. I don't want to. I could have, just went with it, but I don't want to misrepresent myself here, because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I think Emmett Johnson's a solid running back. I am not so enamored by him where I'm like, okay, Nebraska has its running back issue fixed. Emmett Johnson's the guy. Everything's going to be fine. I think he took advantage of things on Saturday. I think he's a solid running back. I think, having the play calling and the rhythm and the passing game is going to be able to open things up in the running game. He ran hard. He hit the holes hard. He made people miss. He broke tackles. I liked everything that he did. I think he lacks the gear that makes him a home run hitter, which I think caps his upside. I don't have a very different feeling than him than I did from 2021 Ramir Johnson, which is to say, I think there's a spot for somebody like that on the football team. But I am very hesitant in the idea that they are going to just be like this incredible football player. I think they can be very helpful, or I think Emmett can be very helpful, but I wouldn't just look at the running back room and say, okay, fixed, and then move on to the next thing. I'm very interested in what a Jamarian Parker or Connor Booth could bring as a freshman. I'm curious about the sort of commentary they've had about Mekhi Nelson and what he can bring. But yeah, I'd like to see what Emmett and Dante Dowdell did. I think the two of them work well off of each other. I think it's a better picture today than it was at the beginning of September, but I still don't think we're talking about Nebraska like we did in 2010.
No.
Or whenever you have Rex Burkhead and Amir Abdullah and Braylon Hurd and Aaron Green. We're solid, and it was a very, very good performance, and I hope it gets built upon. But I'm a little skeptical that the running back situation is just completely fixed now.
I agree with you, for the record, but I do think he has maybe hit a little different gear over the last couple weeks, or maybe it's just like what you said. The offense has given him a little bit more room. That's probably a little bit closer to what we're talking about. He's a guy that has always
produced. He was a really, really productive high school player. I think he was a Gatorade Player of the Year his senior year in Minnesota. I know Ron Brown was a big part of Nebraska recruiting him, but it was Nebraska UNLV, and I've always kind of gotten the sense that he lacked the upper athleticism that would have brought other Power 5 schools at that time into it. That doesn't mean he can't be a really effective running back. I just think that he's going to maximize absolutely what he is. I'm not ready to say that that's, the pinnacle of what Nebraska running back play needs to be.
Hey, quickly before we get you out of here, what kind of challenges Nebraska's defense in for on Friday, especially with the issues that they've had? Maybe not so much against the run, but let a couple big plays go on Saturday. Iowa is going to run at you because, well, they don't really have a whole lot of options to throw it at the moment. Can Nebraska's linebackers and safeties hold up against a challenging Iowa scheme?
I don't think it particularly well. I mean, their run fits have been terrible the last few weeks.
Yep.
Particularly from the back end. I mean, it was a really rough game for Nebraska safeties in terms of run fits. Tackling was really kind of poor in that Wisconsin game. I mean, Nebraska's offensive explosion kind of overshadowed. They looked bad on defense in very simple ways. Like it wasn't like Wisconsin just did things that made Nebraska look bad. It was Nebraska just didn't make tackles in the hole. Nebraska took bad angles. Nebraska had busts in the secondary or in run fits. So against a team like Iowa that doesn't do a lot different and are more than willing to run the same play over and over, can Nebraska be diligent? Can Nebraska be consistent? Can, Isaac Gifford step into the right hole in the run fit and make a tackle or at least hold up for the cavalry to get there to finish it off? I mean, that wasn't happening against Wisconsin when they were able to break some big runs. So a much better running back in Caleb Johnson, a much better running offense with Iowa. I mean, that's going to be a challenge. And Nebraska's defense really is going to have to kind of step up to it. I think Nebraska has a great chance to win on Friday, but the chance lessens if they're not able to be consistent, particularly that second and third level with run fits.
All right, Schaefer, I think we're going to try that restaurant that you suggested to us tonight or maybe at some point in the next 2 days. So I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to that. Any specific recommendations on what to get from that place?
Everything that everyone ordered looked good. I had the burger that's not on the menu at the moment there, but it was very, very good. I think you'll be happy with whatever you get. The chicken sandwich also looked very interesting as well.
Okay.
So,
and I was you texted me and Josh yesterday and apologized for the Vikings win. I want to say thank you because they still won the game. And yes, it was ugly, but it was enthralling to watch at a Las Vegas stadium-style sportsbook. Incredible game.
Well, yeah, anytime a team blows an 11-point lead with 22 seconds to go, I mean, I'm sure that's going to get people pretty fired up in a gambling-type setting. But, yeah, I'm thankful for the win. I would have preferred if they, just took care of business against the high school offense of the Chicago Bears. But what are you going to do?
Nice. Schaefer, have a good week. Happy Thanksgiving. Talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Take care. Have a good time in Vegas. Don't lose too much money.
No, I wouldn't dare. That's Mike Schaefer of Husker 247. Cyber Steve writes in.
Hi, Cyber Steve.
Iowa's quarterback situation is not as good as Wisconsin's, right? Well, neither are good, but Iowa's definitely not as good. Iowa has one of, if not the best running back in the Big Ten, and that they're going to block it because they're willing to block it. They're robotic in a way, right? So Nebraska's Schaefer, I look at I know how people look at football and they're like, hey, Nebraska just beat Wisconsin, so why can't they beat Iowa? It's more for me in what they do and how they do it. And Iowa's offense is going to challenge Nebraska's run fits in a pretty extreme way on Friday. So, Nebraska has to tackle and they have to be in the right place. And that is something that they have not been very good at. Now, can they score more points than Iowa's offense? I don't know. That'll be up to Caleb Johnson. So we'll see how that one checks out for us on Friday. Plenty of time to discuss the Iowa game. Josh is going to come back with the odd news. Matt Rhule's press conference is coming up in just a few minutes.
A little bit of breaking volleyball news if you want it.
we will talk about that. We will talk about that a
Okay.
little bit later
Okay.
on in the show with a couple local people going in the top 3 picks of the PVA draft. We'll get to that. But we're at Circa Resort and Casino, and we'll be back after this. But I wanted to tell you that Circa Resort and Casino is hooking you up with Creighton tickets for the conference home season. We have those available for you on our website, 1620thezone.com. You can enter to win. That is courtesy of 1620 The Zone and Circa Resort and Casino.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
All right, it's time for the odd news. Josh, if you're watching along with us on YouTube, I've flipped around to the other side of the table here just so we can get here. Let me just dunk out of the way there.
Oh, stadium swim. Look at it.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Look at that. Sorry, we don't want to
Pat
illegally
McAfee
disseminate that television.
Talking
that
about
long,
Adam
but-
Schefter breaking stories mid-coitus or something.
So if I get a little glowy, glary on the screen, I can go back to the other side. But I just wanted the people to get an idea as I am here at the lovely Circa Resort and Casino at Stadium Swim, just doing a good old-fashioned radio show. Matt Rhule's press conference coming up in a minute. Josh has the odd news first. Josh?
We begin in prison.
Great place.
That's right. What? Don't think that's true.
Great place to start the odd news.
Oh, okay. The
Yes.
Metropolitan Detention Center, to be exact. That is where Diddy currently is.
Oh.
And his Thanksgiving meal has been revealed to the public.
Oh, great. Is it what everybody else gets for Thanksgiving?
Well, I'm looking at the menu here. It is fruit, cereal, skim milk for breakfast, option of a breakfast pastry if you prefer. Lunch will be turkey roast. I'm going to get real close to the screen here. Looks like hot and sour tofu, mashed potatoes, mixed vegetables, cranberry sauce, gravy, 2 dinner rolls because it's a special day. Dinner's going to be peanut butter and jelly, potato chips, fruit.
Okay, so noticeably no turkey at all.
Turkey roast for lunch, yeah.
Oh, turkey roast for lunch. I thought the tofu thing was taking place of the turkey, which would have been bothersome.
I believe that is a vegan option.
Okay. Gotta have the vegan option. That's for sure. Well, I hope everyone in the Detroit Metropolitan Jail enjoys their Thanksgiving.
Yeah, just want to keep everyone up to date.
Thank you. I don't have any comments on anything else
Okay.
regarding this conversation.
We go to Wisconsin, a state with fat mothers.
That's right. People forget that, as noticed in Josh's hype tape.
That's right. Apparently, these fat mothers can't teach their children math either, because a Wisconsin sheriff's deputy came to the rescue of a 10-year-old who called 911 for help with his math homework. We've all been there.
I never was under the impression that I could call 911 just to ask mundane questions.
Right.
But I always wanted to call 911. I always wanted to just see what would happen if I called 911. And it turns out it's not great. I don't think it ever got to the point where the people showed up at my house. It's like, hey, you called 911 and hung up. That's no good. I don't think that ever happened, but I've definitely heard stories from little kids who have had that happen. Yes.
Well, when you take away the funding from the public access TV station, they can't do the shows like the Homework Hotline. Did you have Homework Hotline on Nebraska Public Media, whatever the heck it was back then when you were growing up?
So you would call a number and ask for help on your homework?
Yeah, and there was a TV show, and there'd be a bunch of math teachers from the district, and they'd be like, okay, let's work it out on the blackboard together.
I never have heard of that.
Oh, yeah, it was a great idea. I'm sure it became cost effective. It was a budgetary shopping.
Well, now they have the internet.
Well, yeah, and calculators. I guess that is true. The Shawano County Sheriff's Office said that they answered a dispatch call from a 10-year-old who said he needed help with his math homework, and his family wasn't very good at math either.
Did they show up?
They showed up, and they worked the problem together.
Oh, that's a cute story then.
He gave this long problem with decimals. She was unable to help him over the phone. Was the 911 deputy 911 deputy dispatcher was like, I don't know what you're talking about, kid. I'll send a car. So
some guy sitting at his house or in his car listening to this right now is like, damn kid, our tax money. This is what our tax money is going for.
$14 million for a tight ends coach.
Have a 1.4, not 14 for the record.
So I'm bad at decimals.
Have a soul for once, Enjoy just a nice, cute story from a cute kid. Not advisable. Not advisable. Obviously, don't call 911 unless you really need it. But this is a mistake that this will not be traumatized for the rest of his life, which is really great.
Mm-hmm. Finally, I'm going to need your help with this, Connor. We had another appearance of... Now, I just know them as the Costco guys.
Yes, that's Big AJ and Big Justice.
Yeah. Big
and the Rizzler.
This says Big Boom AJ.
Big Boom AJ. Yeah,
okay.
I think that's his wrestling name.
Okay, well that applies here.
I figured it was going to apply.
As the TikTok sensation was victorious in his All Elite Wrestling debut over the weekend, thanks to an assist from his son, Big Justice.
Yeah, I saw this. I watched it. I wasn't watching it live, but I obviously saw it.
Sure.
And Big AJ said that he was going to Big Boom AJ said he was going to bring the boom. Not everybody. I don't know who he beat. Some other oiled up guy.
He beat an oiled up man by the name of QT Marshall.
QT Marshall. And classic situation where somebody else comes in, distracts the official. Here comes Big Justice. He pops in, absolutely stones the guy, and next thing you know, he's laying on the ground, and Big Boom AJ gets the pin. So this was always going to be happening, and I think this is like Big Boom AJ's angle. Like this is always what he wanted.
This is what he wanted.
Become.
Sure,
he's been trying to become a wrestler for his entire life, and now he has parlayed his TikTok fame into actually becoming a bit on a wrestling show, which congratulations to him.
I saw the video as well. He looked pretty decent at it.
He looked like a wrestler.
Yeah.
He's a big meathead guy, has no body hair, and does the punch and makes the noise really.
He's got a thing that people like. The Rizzler came out. Captain Insano, Big Show, the Giant came out. And, he shows no mercy. So
people forget Captain Insano shows no mercy.
That's right.
All right. Well, Josh, I'm sure you'll be you watch AEW, right? You love your guy, Jeff Jarrett.
I dip in. My close personal friend works over there. So, of course, I've got my finger on the pulse.
He kind of runs the deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure Josh will see the next big boom AJ fight.
Did we like this? Should we I could put in a call to Jeff and say, hey, we here in Omaha liked this. We here in Omaha did not like this.
Yeah, I'm sure he's sourcing reaction from all across the country. If you are basically the electoral vote of Omaha to get to Jeff Jarrett and tell him whether this was good or bad, I would say yes. I think it's a vote for yes.
Okay. I want to vote with my constituents, not just what I think.
There you go. That's another Josh Hodson platform for mayor.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, Josh. We'll be back after this. Matt Rhule will have his Monday press conference. It's a short week. Nebraska takes on Iowa on Friday and looks to get not their 6th, but their 7th win. Connor Happer live from Circa Resort and Casino at Stadium Swim. More of the Connor Happer Show coming up on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. More of the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you. In just a moment, it will be time for Matt Rhule's Monday press conference. By the way, Josh, I'm moving back over to the other side of the table. I thought it was too glary.
Probably was, yeah. But it's nice every now and then just to show people like I am at Stadium Swim.
I am. I'm not just in some random room that has music playing. Like, yeah, I'm at Stadium Swim. The sun here in Las Vegas is attempting to break through the clouds, and we really appreciate it if it did, because we're sitting at 52 right now.
Oh, goodness.
If we can get that sun popping through there, we're going to be in the 60s in no time. So that's what we need. The town is clearing out from the F1 race over the weekend, which I'm told was a little worse received from year 2 to year 1 by Vegasans, you know.
Connor, we have a tweet.
Oh, a tweet.
From,
Who's this from?
My close personal friend, Frank Caliendo.
Oh, I love Frank.
Is he in Vegas? It says, "See you tomorrow." It's a reply tweet. What's it a reply to? Well, I'll tell you. Creighton men's basketball tweeting out a photo of the MGM Grand Garden Arena.
So Frank Caliendo loves Creighton basketball.
He really does.
I think we got him hooked on Creighton basketball. That's a real thing that happened. He really seemed to enjoy it. So great. Maybe I will run into your close personal friend, Frank Caliendo, tomorrow.
I'll text him to, be on the lookout for you.
Yeah. I actually don't think we're going to go to the game tomorrow because we have before and after show, but we're going to go to the game on Wednesday. Maybe he'll be at the game on Wednesday. Many great luminaries in town. The whole Broncos contingent was here yesterday, meaning our dear friend of the show, Parker Gabriel, was here yesterday.
Oh, wow.
I saw pictures from young Jake Eisenberg, who was in town yesterday. And I meant to text all these people and ask them, why are you here? And they'd probably ask me the same question. Why are you here?
Jake is doing games? Like volleyball games?
He must be doing games.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's volleyball or basketball or what.
He
must be doing games.
I didn't know. Great.
He did an Iowa basketball game in Kansas City, I think, over the weekend. So yeah, there's a little bit of that going on right now. I don't know what else is going on for young Jake. All right, so we're waiting on Matt Rhule's Monday press conference here. Tom wants to flash back to Friday night at the CHI Health Center. He writes in on Twitter, on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Can we please talk about how ridiculously overconfident the putter and shooter contestants were on Friday? My locks of the weekend were Tiger Woods wouldn't even hit the board, and the guy couldn't even hit the free throw in front of people. It was tough. We had a winner on the long putt contest a couple weeks ago, and that really set the tone for the expectation that somebody would make it. We have not come close since in the 2 attempts that we've had. And then the guy who had to make a layup, free throw, 3-pointer, and a half-court shot all in 30 seconds couldn't get past the free throw. So that was not good. It was not good. But, yeah, I always ask them before we do the game, like, hey, how confident are you feeling today? And they always say, yeah, I'm really confident.
Super confident.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee does the same thing during the kick contest. Like, hey, you feeling good? You feeling confident? You ever talk to any smack on kickers? And they always say, of course, Pat. Of course I have.
But some of the people on those will be like, yeah, I've been like a 7 out of 10. It's like I either want you to be really confident or sandbag us and say 0% confident. Usually the answer is that they're incredibly confident. By the way, Dave writes in on YouTube, Frank Caliendo scored more field goals than Kalkbrenner.
Womp womp.
People forget about that. Meanwhile, getting a back in my ear again.
Just
all right.
Taking Nick's advice.
I looked back at him and he was like, "What'd I do?
I don't know.
What? All right.
We're trying to make everyone happy at the same time.
Why are we pressing buttons during the show? What's going on?
Great question. Why isn't the board the exact same every time you use it? That's another good question.
That's a great question.
CJ writes in, now we get to enjoy Creighton's celebrity tiers. Oh, that's true. Creighton has kind of adopted Frank Caliendo as their resident celebrity, but they have some others, of course, as well. They did honor the governor on Friday night, who was notably wearing a Nebraska shirt, and Father Hendrickson was out there, and they were trying to rush to get him. They were trying to rush to get the governor a blue shirt, like to just dangle in front of his, face while they were on the camera.
That's right. That was the big question Friday, was what color shirt is the governor going to wear?
He went with the Nebraska shirt.
Sure.
It's the state school, right?
Sure. It's where he went.
Yeah, right.
People forget.
So we were trying to get something together where we could just say blue and get the crowd to react in a different way. We weren't able to get that in time. Elsewhere in college football this weekend, while we wait for Matt Rhule to begin his Monday press conference, it is noon, right, Josh?
That's right. You once again correctly corrected the times for your time change.
I can continue to try and remember that it's 2 hours behind is what we are right now. The SEC. What are we going to do with this conference, Josh? It's
they're going to scream that anyone can beat anybody when, in fact, they just don't have any good teams this year.
So why are people not willing to say this? It's a horribly mid-conference at this point, right? I mean, it's a horribly mid-conference.
Sure seems that way.
Georgia, if all of your teams are beating each other, and I think there's I don't know, I wouldn't say a clear separation, but I do think there's a separation between Texas, Georgia, and everybody else in that league. Because Georgia beat Texas, and Georgia's losses were to Alabama close, and then Ole Miss in a weird one. I'm not trying to give Georgia the benefit of the doubt, too much of it, because I think we do way too much of that just in sports in general and in our day here. But I think there's a kind of a gap between that, but it's small and it's probably not that noticeable. And then everybody else is beating each other out of that. And then when that happens in any other conference, we all look at that and say, oh, well, it's just a bunch of mid schools. They're just beating up on each other, and there's no separation, and anybody can beat anybody, and they're all good. But in the SEC, for some reason, the response to that happening is, well, they're all really good. I mean, it's clear that they're not. It's clear that they're not. Everybody has lost to team. Everybody in this group that we're talking about, the 2 or 3 lost teams in the SEC, basically everybody has lost to the group outside of it. Arkansas has a win to their resume this year against Tennessee. I'm starting now at the 4 lost teams. Vanderbilt has beaten Alabama. Oklahoma has now beaten Alabama. Auburn has beaten Texas A&M. And let's continue to go down the list. Kentucky has 1 win. Mississippi State doesn't have any. Kentucky beat Ole Miss. So every team that we have in that 2 or 3 loss category in the SEC has lost to one of the teams from the 4 to 5 loss category. What does that tell you about the conference? What would that tell you about any other conference in America? Is that, oh boy, we got 2 teams up here and we got a bunch of slop for the rest of it. Why isn't that what everybody's realizing about the SEC at this moment? I don't know.
Because Greg Sankey's in your head trying to fill it with ideas of parity, and any given Saturday, anyone can beat anyone in the SEC because it just means more.
So I think you have to credit the SEC. We'll probably talk to Sam about this a little bit later because he's always been really big on this. What the SEC does better than any other conference is manipulate your brain into thinking all these things. Obviously, they have the ESPN thing in their back pocket, but because they show all their games and whatever. But they're really good at politicking. They're really good at telling people the things that stand out about the teams and conference and trying to change the narrative in whichever way they can, whichever way sort of suits them. They're really good at that. They always have been really good at that. The Big Ten hasn't been really good at that. And so the SEC can kind of control, and they could say, well, hey, look at what everybody thinks about us, something that you made them think, and look at what they think about, look at what they're not saying about the Big Ten. When in all actuality, it's the same conference. It's the same thing. sort of top to bottom. I can't wait to see what.
Are you ready to talk Georgia strength of schedule all week long?
Yeah, I don't care about strength of
toughest schedule in the country. It's the toughest schedule in the country. You got to reward that. They went out and played people. Indiana didn't go play anybody. Georgia went and played people.
Yeah, sure. I like when teams win instead of when teams lose, right? So whichever way we want to do it, if the teams, if you want to build your schedule in a way where you might lose a couple times, I wouldn't advise that. And that has been a clear motive from everybody else in the in the college football playoff era.
I guess Lane Kiffin doesn't have to worry about that SEC championship game.
He does not.
Okay.
He does not. He also doesn't have to look at the college football playoff. All right. We'll get to the tweets from a little bit later on. But let's go out to Matt Rhule. His Monday press conference is underway. That seems like a surprise to Josh.
Nope, there it is. Okay.
His Monday press conference is on the way. Here he is before the Iowa game on Friday.
What you want is you want all the young people across the state to grow up someday dreaming of playing here, playing in Memorial Stadium, whether it's in the state championship or eventually here with us. So, I think one of our jobs is to nurture football, whether it's clinics that we do, youth camps that we do, hosting high school games, hosting all the, smaller schools and colleges in the state. They come over to us and visit us, watch practice. We want to be a place that supports football.
You're going to have a chance to have some kids who are in high school now who are a part of your practices next month. Is that the first time? I assume that's the first time in a for a bowl game you'll have ever experienced that, and what can that look like or mean?
Yeah, I think we'll have to wait and see where we're going and when we are in terms of like dates that they graduate high school and all that. So it's my first time doing it. I haven't had that before. I think it's great just in the acclimation process. We want guys to understand sort of the standards that we have in terms of everything from being on time to how we practice. And I think them getting a chance to get here early and be a part of it would be great. If it turns out right with the timing of graduation and all that.
What's the challenge of a short week? And I know you guys had a flu bug going through last week. Or you feel like you're over that?
Yeah, we had both flu and strep throat last week, so it was really kind of all hands on deck by our medical staff. We still have some guys, a couple guys that tapped out today. Not tapped out, like tapped out in the bad way, like we're out because of strep throat. But they were mainly non-travel guys. I mean, like Marquise Buford, Sierra, if you could put a camera on me, I kept putting my arm around him the whole game. I was like, I'll give you tomorrow off. Just get through this game, buddy. Because he was playing corner. He was playing gunner. He was playing jam run, punt returner. He was just dying, right? Like, so, obviously him and Marquise Buford got back, but they were just not feeling great. So I think we're much healthier this week. The challenge of a short week, obviously, is just kind of, you lose a day. So, today we went out there, we practiced like it was a Tuesday. Tomorrow we'll practice like it's a Wednesday. Typically, I don't do that, but because of also the Thanksgiving component of this and some of the things that we'll do later in the week, we'll treat it this morning like Tuesday.
How much, given that you now have that bowl in place, how much hungrier do you sense your team is to now go get another thing and win another game against Iowa?
I sure hope they are. I mean, honestly, Sam, we didn't even have a team. We haven't even had a team meeting since the game. Like, we walked in today and it was 8:00 Iowa special teams. There's just no time for, hey, great job, da 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 da. There's just no time for it, right? Like, so this is such a condensed week versus a really difficult opponent to prepare for that we just jumped right in. I think the thing that you saw, coming out of the game, like a lot of the guys were in the building yesterday, they know that they can do it. It's kind of like they know they're capable of it. So, let's continue to do it. That's the expectation now. What was once possible is now, okay, it's not just, hey, it's possible. Now we can do it. So let's do it. And this is an excellent team we're facing. So we have to do it at a high level.
Is it even more pronounced offensively with like a 44-point, 473-yard output?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and I think, like I said, like the lessons of the game are the lessons of the season, right? Like, we fumbled the ball on the 20-yard line. And if we do that against Iowa, who's plus 11, we're not going to win. So while people, I think Dana's done an amazing job. Let me start there. But I think if you say like, oh, it's the play call, you hear Dana on the headset the whole time. He's just talking about execution. Like the guys who practiced the best on Thursday last week played. Like some guys had some false starts and some mistakes on Thursday. He's like, he's out. 13, you're in. Let's go. So IGC got a chance to play, and he made a play in the game. So there's a real focus on execution. And when the guys execute the play calls, and so I think that was the message to the guys, like, hey, if you execute and practice at a high level, you're going to have an opportunity to play in the game. And then when you get in the game, make the most of it. And so when we had penalties, we didn't score on those drives. When we snap the ball on third down, we're going on 2 and we snap it on 1, and all of a sudden the ball's in the quarterback's hands. There's nothing he can do. But when we just settled down and just played, then guys made the plays necessary to make. So it's kind of a blend of everything we've been trying to say to them all year coming to life. Like, hey, just go execute. I think the thing Dana's done a great job of is, like I said, he's cut things down to a degree, but also he's demanding that they execute if they want to get on the field. And that's kind of how we handle things on defense. And, I think it's kind of now played over to offense as well.
He's cut things down.
Just amount of play. Kind of like I said when I first got here, like he came in and said, hey, let's just scale back in terms of the amount that we're doing. We're still doing a lot, still doing a lot. And like I said, there's a couple times in that game where, he was trying to find the words because, he's had one language for, I don't know, 30 years. And now all of a sudden he has a completely different language. And so, Coach Glenn and Garrett and Sat did a great job of, I think, sometimes helping with the words in the middle of the game. But he has a picture of what he wants it to look like. And it's interesting for me. It's my first time being around there. It's very collaborative. Like they sit in the room together for hours upon hours upon hours and put together a game plan together. So it's been really cool for me. I'm always trying to learn. It's good for me to learn from.
How much better is Iowa's run offense this year compared to last year? What's challenging about it in general?
Well, they've always been, to me, like the when I first learned how to run outside zone, I go all the way back to like learning from like Rick Kaczynski, who I know coached here as well. He was a great D-line coach, but learning from him, learning from Coach Ferentz, like that's how I first learned, the way that I've always taught the run game. So, they've always been the premier outside zone team, counter team in the country. I think Caleb Johnson's playing at an unbelievably high level. They've got a veteran offensive line. I think Coach Lester's brought in, they're doing a lot of what you see NFL teams doing. Like they're running the ball to the open side, then checking it versus any 4-week threat to zap to the front side. So a lot of us who've been in the NFL, it's, kind of what we know, and they're doing it really, really well. And I don't want to underestimate, like, this back is fantastic. He makes people miss, and he can burst and go the distance. They've kind of done it 2 different ways with Sullivan out there because he was a running threat. They were doing it one way. With McNamara out there, it was a little bit different. And I think that's the mark of great coaches. Whatever quarterback's been out there, they've been able to do it, to stay in the same scheme, but whatever fits that quarterback. And then now, as we're not sure who the quarterback is, they've kind of had a hybrid model in between. So I think they're doing a really, really, really good job, and they've run some people off the field just by running the football down their throat.
Now the bowl game berth is secure, kind of building on what you're saying about being hungry, but do you just get the sense the guys are playing a little more free? And how was the attitude in terms of, coming off a win? You've had coming off a win before. Was it any different today than it has been in the past after a win?
Yeah. Sam said hungry. I didn't say that. I think our guys I don't think there's been a game where they weren't like dying to win. I think, this is really hard. This has been hard, right? And it requires really tough people to do the stuff that we've been trying to do to kind of get over that hump, right? And when you lose to Indiana the way we did, and then you come back against Ohio State, then you lose to Ohio State, and then you come back against UCLA, then you lose to UCLA, and then I make some changes, then you lose to USC. It's only reasonable that you would either lose your confidence or start to question things, right? Like, well, why are we working so hard if we're not getting the result that we want? And maybe we should be doing this. It's not like I sit there and say to the guys, hey, don't doubt. Trust. It's only you guys asked me if this was big for me. I was like, yeah, this was big for me. This is I know I believe in what we do, but still, it's great to have some representation of, hey, it's working here for us right now. Even though you see it at practice, you like to see it in the game. So, So I've never doubted their effort, right? In fact, like last week, Dana and I were talking. He was like, sometimes, it's like times you feel like, maybe we're pressing a little bit too much, just trying to do too much. And I thought you saw a group on Saturday that was just pretty relaxed and pretty in the moment offensively. So I know how much the Iowa game means to our guys. I mean, we sat there last year. Like, I loved that group last year, and walking off the field after losing on the way we lost, right? We pick the ball off, we get a holding call, we throw a pick. They just kind of run the clock out. Guy makes a great run, and then the field goal just gets over the goalpost. That's a credit to Coach Ferentz and the way he does things. But walking off the field, their players are waving at our guys, have a good Christmas. That was painful. That was really painful. So I don't doubt that our guys will be ready, but their guys are going to be ready. None of it really just comes down to football, right? If we false start, we're probably not going to win. If we turn the ball over, we're not going to win. If we can win the turnover battle, we'll have a chance to win. And so if we can tackle. So I think it all comes down to the preparation. It's not all these other things. And that's a great thing about finally getting a bowl drought over with, because it's not these things. It's just like, make this play, make this kick. John Hull, if John Hull doesn't do what he's done the last 2 months of getting better and better and better as a kicker, then we don't have, we have a different kicker and a different snapper than we did at the beginning of the year. And those guys have just gotten incrementally better to all of a sudden you get to a game like that. And if he's not making those field goals, the game's a lot different. So this week, to me, that's why, we didn't spend a lot of time talking about it. We came out and just got right back to work, because I know Iowa's they're going to be prepared. They're going to work, and we have to make sure we're in our fits on defense, and we have to make sure we're not continuing to give up we're giving up too many big plays passing right now, way too many. And so we just have to make sure the football's right, but I'm sure they'll prepare high this week.
What about the weather? Just what will you find about your offense playing in colder conditions? You guys haven't had conditions that are going to be this cold. It's going to be a night game, obviously, late in the year.
Yeah, I don't worry about the weather. I mean, we go in the mornings here, which is great in some ways, but in the spring, I mean, there's plenty of days that we're out there and there's 30-mile-an-hour winds, and it's 18, 20 degrees. I mean, it was 22 degrees last week. It was cold as could be out. I mean, today was, I'm wearing you never see me wear a jacket. I wore a jacket out there today. Like, it's cold today. Where we practice, last week, we were throwing, it was, 35-mile-an-hour gusts, and we were throwing into the gusts, the way Dana does 7-on-7. He goes this way for half and this way for half. And so, I mean, our guys are tough. Iowa's guys are tough. I think the game will come down to football. I think our guys will, if there was maybe ice on the field or snow, it might be a little different. But I feel pretty good about our ability to handle the cold, just because we do it in the spring and then we do it again in the fall. We don't really ever go inside unless I really need the crowd noise from the indoor.
Okay, execution.
Is there anything else that got Rhule in a groove in that game on Saturday?
I think he had a great week. I think the UCLA game. I mean, that was a significant hit to his back and injury, and so even if you go back to the USC Tuesday, I was like, I think he'll be able to practice. He didn't practice on Sunday. I think he'll be able to practice Tuesday, but I think he was ginger that whole game. I mean, I think he was better this game, just in terms of being healthy, right? Being able to move around, being able to slide in the pocket. And, they got one pressure on us early. But after that, I thought, we're getting the ball out of our hands. He was just taking completions, taking what was there, not trying to do too much. Again, playing as a freshman in the Big Ten is really, really hard. It requires tough people. And I think Dylan's been tough in that he's gotten better every week. And sometimes maybe everyone, like the production people, they're asking me that you can't always maybe see it because you're playing better people. But I think Dylan's gotten better every week in a lot of ways. This week, it was really easy to see, because I thought he was just in complete and total control and command. And again, another week with Dana, I think, has helped him as well.
And that ability to get past the doubt that you talked about, the guys are naturally going to have. How important and how heavily did the seniors impact weigh or factor in the whole locker room not getting weighed down by that?
Yeah, I think whether you doubt something's going to work or not, it really comes down to whether you go out and do the work or not. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to do it anyway. Or I'm sure this is going to work, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, it all comes down to, at the end of the day, your work output. Like, if you're going out there every day and you're working on the execution of a play, if you're working on the execution of a special teams, if you're working on your craft, I personally believe, like, I haven't had very many great players who've played for me who haven't actually had this great period where they almost like quit football, or they like, you know what I'm saying? Like everyone's career doesn't go like this. Like you have to go through these ups and downs and hit this point where you're like, man, I don't, you know, Matt Ioannidis, Hassan Reddick, all of them came in my office and said, man, I think I'm going to transfer, coach. I don't think I'm going to, you know, and then they all hung through it, weathered the storm, and then came out the other side. And so it comes down to me. You're going to feel all these different feelings and emotions, but do you show up and practice? Do you show up and meet? And so I think like Giff and Ty and Nash and MJ and Jamar, even though he's decided to come back, and Banks and Nayor and Ben Hart and Ben Scott, I think those guys have just continued to show up and continued to work. So whereas they might doubt, or they might feel all the doubt or hear all the doubt, you know, they've just continued to do the work. And the ones who haven't played as much. You know, the ones who have continue to play. Buschini, you know, all those guys. And then all of a sudden one day wakes up and you score 44 points, or you beat Wisconsin for the first time in however many years, or you kick a bunch of field goals, and it's like, okay, now I believe. It's really hard to believe. It's blind faith, right? It's hard to believe when it hasn't worked. And so when it finally works, and it works for a game, I'm not, you know, when it finally works, it's like, all right. But they did the work anyway. And I think that's the biggest message I have to the guys is like, no matter whether you believe in it or don't believe in it, just show up and work, and you know you'll find out in the long run. And so I'm proud of those guys. They've really pushed, I think, the thing through.
In the last game, Kircher and Lindenmeyer played a lot. Fedoni did not. Was that an injury-related issue, or was that just Holmerson's preference?
No, I think that was just you know, Dana getting in the game and just going with those other guys. You know, I think that was just coach's decision.
What did you like about how Nate played? They played a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Nate's an excellent player. You know, he's unselfish. He doesn't complain about his touches, or whether, you know, if you ask him to do something, Nate does it. And very steady. And so when he had a chance to catch the ball, I mean, both times he caught the ball, I mean, it's, you know, he had a great run after the catch. And then I think Luke Lindenmeyer, you talk about a guy since the bye week, since Dana showed up, who to me has like put his foot on the gas and accelerated. Like in practice, I mean, he's trying to put people on their backs. He's trying to finish blocks. And those guys are just really dependable guys. They execute at a high level, and you know, they earned a chance to play. I mean, Thomas is the same way. Thomas has all the ability to make every play. He's made some huge plays down the field. He's got a ton of talent. You know, he's had a bunch of injuries. He's a lot like a lot of guys I'm talking about. It's his second year playing, really. So forget, you know, the hardest thing in the world is to come in with a bunch of accolades, right? Because everyone's always asking you, like, you know, but he's second year playing, and I think Thomas, I mean, he had a great practice out there today. I think the thing with Dana is, like, I think a lot of people have said to me, like, they really enjoyed his press conference last week and just the bluntness of it. Well, the bluntness is followed up with, you know, every position, right? Like, you have to go out and execute, right? And the guys who practice the best and then get in the game and play, like Wood fumbled that ball, and, you know, Janirin didn't play quite as much afterwards. You know, just Janirin's not going to say much. He's just going to go out there and, okay, when you need me again, need me. And when they needed him, he went in and he did his job. So, you know, I think Dana's brought a standard offensively that I'm not going to say we didn't have before. I just think he has the experience to kind of follow through on it in some ways that I think is maybe good for all of us to learn from. But, you know, Thomas, I'm sure, will have a great role in this game. And like I said, there's not many guys who can make plays down the field the way he can. Just kind of, you know, continue to work on him and all those guys. And again, I'm deferring a lot of this. Like, I don't tell Terrence who to play at nose tackle, and I'm not telling Dana and Sad who to play at tight end. You know, I give my 2 cents if there's something I really believe in, I'll step in. But I think it's really good that guys can go out and practice for what they want.
They played in the secondary. I don't think Malcolm Hartzog played a lot in the second half. I know Blatt Hill got a lot of run there. Was that on-field related, or did he re-aggravate something there?
No. Yeah, I'm not sure the rep count of Malcolm in the second half. I thought, you know, kind of Marquise was down a little bit, so you know, Malcolm was kind of moving to safety and corner. But I think all those guys were just there was nothing like in terms of like, hey, pull them out or anything like that. I just think we just kind of rotated the guys as we went through because, you know, some guys got banged up and, you know, guys weren't feeling great. But Malcolm's out there today. He's practicing well. He should be ready to go.
Hey, Coach.
I'm sorry, guys.
You mentioned Tommy Hill last week shut down for the year. Is there anybody else that's moved on or not with your shutdown the rest of the season?
You guys asked me about Malachi the other day. Malachi, you know, came in and I hope it's. I just didn't want to talk about that on Thursday, right? I thought there was more time of the game, but But yeah, Malachi came in, let us know he was going to go in the portal. So obviously wish him the best. Great young man, local guy. Had some really big moments for us last year. Was redshirting and developing, and I think what we're going to this year, I think we're going to probably end up with between 30 and 50 guys in the portal. Just with the roster and all things that are going to have to happen. So wish Malachi. I can't say anything but great things about Malachi, and obviously he's not one that I wanted to go in the portal, but I really don't want any of them to go in the portal. I want them all to stay here and develop. It's just the new world we're in. It's going to be different. So in terms of anyone else, everyone's kind of practicing with us. Tommy's the one that we just kind of shut down, and Mike is fighting through his shoulder. He's done a great job of battling through that shoulder that kind of limits him a little bit. Everyone else is kind of battling. Marquise Buford, like I said, battled through the sickness last week. So I think everyone else is up and healthy and ready to go.
Come back and play in the bowl game. Is that still trending in that way?
Yeah, Turner's still not practicing yet. Like he's still out there. Turner's still out there doing the pit and rehab, and they're doing some on-field stuff with us. So once we get to bowl practice, I'm assuming Turner would be ready to go. I'm assuming Peters, Jake Peters, the young center, would be ready to practice some. So the bowl practice is going to be big for us for some of those guys who've been injured all year that are coming off of it. But Turner's still probably a couple weeks away.
I don't want to overdo it on Holgerson, but is there anything you haven't worked with him before? Is there anything else you've learned just working with him, about the way he goes about things, anything?
Yeah, he's just methodical. It's like I always knew when we played my first year at Baylor, we were probably the worst team in the world, and one of our players got hurt on a punt return on their sideline. I went over their sideline. And he was ripping the ref because they made the call for us. I was like, man, I didn't know you could say that to the ref. Like, I'm being too gentle with these guys. And I've always been out and seen Dane in different places and just kind of knew him as like, I went and sat in a clinic just to listen to him talk, right? It's like when he was the OC at Oklahoma State or whatever. So I've always known him from afar and like the Red Bull on the sidelines and all those things. And then, like I said, I got to spend a day with him a couple years ago, and me and Julie went to dinner, and I got to really get to know him. He's just really a thoughtful, insightful man. And then seeing him here, seeing his process here, it's you guys know the way I feel about Phil Snow. It's very much like Phil. It's, watching Tony, watching the way they work, just very methodical. Dana comes in, he studies the opponent until he understands him, and then they get together, and it's just the rhythm of the way that he does things makes total sense to me. A lot of the guys on our staff, we didn't come up through like big organizations. Like we weren't we weren't some famous coach's son, or we weren't, so like we kind of nickeled and dimed our way up to like Albright College and then a GA here, a GA there. And so I was never able to be under a great offensive like system. Then I had a chance to go to the Giants. I worked for Kevin Gilbride, who's one of the great offensive coordinators in NFL history. And he had some run and shoot things, and I loved them. And so I kind of got a chance, but this for me, this is a chance. And Dana's he's not running the air raid. He doesn't even coach the air raid anymore. Like that was just what he came up in. But to me, just seeing the way that he processes things, it's like so close to what we were doing. It's just a little bit better. It's just a little bit more simplified. So I think whether it's Sat or Glenn or Garrett or Donnie or EJ or any other coaches on our offense, they're really benefiting from watching the way the process plays out. And it's from the way they watch tape to the way that they script to the way that they attach plays to the script to the way that they do their walkthrough pre-practice to the way they do routes on air. It's all these things that I've had offensive coaches wanted to do, but it never made complete and total sense to me till I worked with Dana, and now it makes sense to me. So if I coach with Dana for one more week, or if we coach together for the next 10 years, I'll be a better coach as a result. And bringing in Tony after being with Phil, I had one defensive coordinator for my entire whatever that's been 10, 11 years as a head coach. Tony had a completely different process, and it was really, really cool for me to see and interesting for me to see and learn from. And so this has been great. Normally you have kind of like, hey, this is our way. And it's been interesting. And then, I just think that incremental process, like you look at what Ed's done, think about, like I said after the game, think where we were at Purdue and Rutgers, we couldn't even get a punt off. And think about where we are now. Not that was okay, but I'm just saying like, to be punting balls out at the 4 and having big kickoff returns. And, Ed's, instead of just blowing everything up. It's just gotten a little bit better and gotten the guys to get a little bit better. So I don't know if I'm answering your question. I'm going to say it's helped me and it's really taught me a lot.
What have you seen in terms of the progression on special teams and how important will that be Friday with a team like Iowa that field position so important?
Yeah, I think like I said, I've really studied Coach Ferentsen. I have so much respect for what he's done, and from the fact he'll take the ball. A lot of guys will defer. He'll take the ball to have the win in the fourth quarter, and the way that they'll play field position, the way that they'll punt the ball down. It's very much like when you're in the NFL playing all the Coach Belichick and all of his coaches. Because when I was there, you'd play Joe Judge, you'd play those guys. It's really difficult, and they have a great punter, they have an elite returner, they've got great special teams, and it'll be a real challenge. And on a game like this, a Friday night in the cold, those things show up. And that's why they win the close games. They're very comfortable. To me, like it's almost like for them, like the game doesn't even start till the second half begins. It's like they're very comfortable playing in a close game, and they know who they are. And I really enjoyed watching that from them. So, Brian's been really punting the ball well. We've been more consistent in terms of catching punts and not letting balls roll down and having us in bad field position. We had some 2 returners out there last week to try to get shake Jacory loose. So we'll try to have our best plan possible. My only thing to the coaches is like, hey, do whatever you guys want. Just make sure it's something we can execute. Let's not go out there and try to solve the world with a pencil. Let's let our guys go out and execute. And so, whether it's Carter Nelson running down a kickoff and tackle him at the 20, hopefully we can make some plays versus probably the premier special teams unit in the Big Ten.
Are you 100% outside practice team?
100%?
Yeah. Always outside?
If there was a day where if I can't stand the cold, I might say, hey, let's go inside. And there's been some times, like I said, like the week of Ohio State, maybe Ohio State, I put the offense in that week, or UCLA, because I wanted them to have blistering crowd noise because it's so loud in the Hawks. But in general, when the grass fields are workable, we never go inside. They might be inside a little bit for like individual drills, so we don't cut up the grass. But like our team periods are all outside. I'm not, as you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of turf. There's some turf companies, we had Hellas Turf when I was at Baylor, and I liked their turf, so I'd go out a little more. But we're outside as 95% of the time we're doing something.
I think Dowd Elster touched on that he'd like to get a run or a leak out. You think he's got the hands for it?
Trust me, my phone's been blowing up from Ty talking about running the football. So I can promise you this: we might do it in practice, or we're not going to hand the ball to Ty Robinson anytime soon. So, Ty, those guys, it was funny. Like, normally you try something like that and you're yelling for the defensive guys and run over their helmet. Like they were standing right next to us. Like they wanted to go out there, him and Judy. Judy, you go back and look at this year, because he's also been the fullback in our 22 sets. He's had some great blocks. So he's, when we lost Barrett was a really good player for us. And we lost Barrett, Judy, and then Lindenmeyer now, but Ty also, they've all kind of filled that void.
It's all Big Ten time, voting, things like that. Feel free to talk about anybody you like, but I would curious if you brag a little bit on Ty. There's 18 teams in the league. There's 1 million defensive linemen. How good of a season do you feel like he's had within the context of your team?
Yeah, Ty, well, we're one of the better defenses in the Big Ten, right? And we're certainly one of the better run defenses in the Big Ten. And Ty's been dominant. I think he had 6, 7. I don't know how many sacks. 6 sacks. I saw on the board before the game it said he had 6 sacks before the game as I was standing out there looking at so I don't know if he had one in the last game or not. But Ty, Ty's been absolutely dominant, and he should be up for every accolade. He's someone that people should draft really high next year, because he's the total package. He's as good a football player as there is. He's really athletic. He could bulk up. He could slim down. He can play 3 downs in the NFL, which means he should be first team All Big Ten here. He's on his way to going to medical school. When he's done, he's going to be a doctor. And his girlfriend Bryce is twice as cool as he is. He's the real deal. He's one of the best players I've seen in the Big Ten this year. And I watch all the tape crossover, and there's a lot of great ones. We're getting ready to play against 94 from Iowa. I put him right there, right up there. There's a lot of really good ones. But yeah, Ty's been dominant.
There was an interaction post game between one of Bickle's police detail and Donnie. Do you know what happened there?
I came this morning. They were showing me the video, so I don't want to speculate without knowing. Obviously Donnie went to Wisconsin, so I don't know if there was some history there with somebody or something. But when I asked Donnie about it, he was like, no big deal. So things happen after games. People are emotional, but he seemed to kind of brush it off. So it was kind of mayhem out there, trying to get off the field. So, I don't know much else other than that. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Matt Rhule and his Monday press conference. A lot to dive into from that, including, well, there you go. There was the last answer after Josh demanded it publicly. I need to hear about what happened with Donnie.
Just saying, if these are the things we care about on social media, there's your chance to figure it out.
Yeah, got in there, and nothing much on it, nothing much to it. Also, as Jordan writes it on YouTube, big-ass Dr. Ty Robinson. That's big-ass Dr. Ty Robinson to you, my friend. And his girlfriend is cooler than him. How about that from Matt Rhule?
Wow.
Some good stuff in that press conference. Also, there was some news as well. Malachi Coleman will go into the transfer portal. We will discuss it. It's time for Big Rhule overreaction on a Monday Connor Happer show. I am live here at Circa Hotel, Resort, and Casino in lovely but overcast Las Vegas, Nevada. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Do more people look forward to Halloween than Christmas?
Hell no.
I think this is a generation.
No, it is not you always say that.
Because people of my generation love Halloween more than we love Christmas. I don't believe
we just
this
do. More of us like Halloween more.
You do.
You do.
I think people care less about getting gifts now.
Halloween is a kid's holiday. No, I'll disagree with that.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7.
Bright, cold, and breezy for your Monday afternoon with a high today of 37 in Omaha, but still feeling like the 20s. Northwesterly wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour possible, becoming light and variable overnight. Clear to mostly clear skies and cold, low tomorrow morning of 22. Partly to mostly cloudy with increasing clouds for your Tuesday, a high tomorrow of 45. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV Newswatch 7.
More with Connor and Josh after this.
We're going to have an extensive professional relationship, my man.
On 1620, The Zone.
Calling all college basketball fans to downtown Las Vegas. Join your team when they travel to Las Vegas this November as Circa Resort and Casino celebrates Hoopsgiving. Circa has discounted rooms all week long for fans from Omaha. When your team isn't on the court, join us at Stadium Swim with temperature-controlled pools and a 143-foot screen showing all the action, plus the world's largest sportsbook, drinksgiving, and more. To book and find out everything about Hoopsgiving, go to circalasvegas.com/Hoopsgiving.
Suicide can be prevented by knowing the warning signs, and most importantly, knowing what to do if you recognize those signs in yourself, a loved one, or even a stranger. There are simple ways you can be there for someone, so they can be here for more tomorrows. Visit moretomorrowsne.org to learn the signs, how to approach the conversation, and where to get help. Or call 988 for help now. That's moretomorrowsne.org.
Happy holidays and best wishes for the new year from John Higgins Weather Guard. It was a stormy year with many local losses. We're grateful for those who continue to work together to help restore. And thank you to those that trusted us for new roofs, gutters, and siding. Happy holidays from your fans at John Higgins Weather Guard, America's leading installer of Da Vinci roofs and roofs of all styles.
John Higgins Weather Guard, the home of the rooferys. Make the right call.
Check off everyone on your holiday list at Saul's. Laptops starting at $99. Name brand power tools starting at $5. Snowblowers starting at $99. And bling in the holidays with up to 50% off all jewelry. Hurry in and check off your whole list today at Saul's Jewelry alone.
Walking into 42 degrees can be like a kid visiting the chocolate factory for the first time.
You're surrounded by a massive selection of disposables, glass, gummies, vaporizers, kratom,
and Cannabis Cup winning flower strains. With our amazing customer service,
you're going to leave feeling like you won the entire chocolate factory. 42 Degrees has set a standard for cannabis quality, product selection, and customer service
that no other dispensary will ever be able to match. 42 Degrees, buy your mom's house.
Guys, it's finally here. Wendy's new salted caramel frosty. It's cold, salted, yet perfectly sweet, delicious, and it's at the top of Santa's Christmas list. What? Santa has a list too, you know. And he's a huge salted caramel frosty fan. Probably why he's so jolly all the time. The iconic frosty with a salted caramel twist? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Salted caramel frosty flavored with other natural flavors.
Shop Genesis of Southwest Omaha for your next luxury sedan or SUV. From the captivating Genesis G70 to the refined elegance of the Genesis GV80, our exhilarating lineup delivers unrivaled performance. Right now, get 2.99% APR for 60 months on the entire lineup of 2025 Genesis G70s. Get started online at southwestomahagenesis.com today. With approved credit, tax, title, license extra. When financed with Genesis Finance. $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires November 30th, 2024. See dealer for details.
Husker Review Monday is powered by McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Looking for trusted experts to protect and enhance your home or business? We are McKinnis, Nebraska and Iowa's go-to choice since 1981. For commercial or residential projects, trust McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Visit McKinnisInc.com today.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
All right, welcome back. More of the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer and Josh Odson with you. 1620 The Zone is teaming with Share Omaha for Giving Tuesday 2024. A day to celebrate what the Metro could do together just in 24 hours. Donate now through December 3rd to support your favorite local nonprofit. All the details can be found on our website at 1620thezone.com. Just finished up Matt Rhule's Monday press conference. Oh, look, there you go. If you're watching with us on, it's
there.
Yeah,
he
Josh,
is.
do you have a comment on that, Josh?
I don't.
Okay.
How's the podcast going, John?
Roasted. Did you hear him?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Okay.
You can never
All right.
not hear Josh Peterson.
That's true. He is quite loud. All right. Top story, I guess, is the top story from the news conference that Malachi Coleman's going to go into the transfer portal, or has that already gone through a cycle?
Didn't we do that last week? I mean, it's all over Twitter, and he posted a letter on Instagram, and we're all in our feelings about it. We did this last week, didn't we?
Yeah. Yep. People are going to go into the transfer portal. He said
50.
He said, much like the guy who said there was 30 to 50 feral hogs in his front yard. Remember that guy, Josh?
I do.
Matt Rhule said that there was going to be 30 to 50 players in the transfer portal, not 30 to 50 feral hogs. So that's a little bit different, but 30 to 50 is still a pretty wide swath. Malachi said he came in, or Rhule said Malachi came in and let him know that he was going into the portal, and that Rhule said he did not wish that. He did not want that to happen. He's the guy that they wish they could keep. But at the same time, I do think Rhule is kind of taking the perspective of, hey, this is kind of going to be a pretty big numbers crunch at this point. So if there's anybody who doesn't really want to be here, and you feel like it's not really working out, honestly, we could use a couple free ones, because they're going to tell us to cut people off the roster. Like if people leave, that prevents us from having tougher conversations, more tough conversations later down the line, I guess. I mean, that's a kind of a rosy way to look at it, but I do think there is a little bit of that in that conversation. So Malachi's into the transfer portal. And then the other guy that we've been talking about a lot this weekend as far as personnel is concerned, why do we want to talk about Thomas Fidone so much?
Because his mom said stuff on social media.
God, you people love drama, man.
Oh, yeah.
You guys got to – this is a sickness. Nebraska just won a football game. It got them to a bowl game for the first time in 8 years. And obviously personnel, a guy leaving the team is like notable, right? But it feels like it's always the thing that people want to talk about. And then I think, coming off of Saturday, people really wanted to, they wondered. I mean, we got a lot in the postgame show. I was amazed by how much we got in the postgame show. Like, so many comments about, hey, did Fedoni even play after he got put off the field for the false start? Water would be fantastic. Thank you very much.
He is in the desert.
They might give you some food. Yes, I haven't had any water all morning. I'm sorry, Josh. Hang on.
Tiny baby bottle. Look at that. Wow.
It's very important to me that I had that drink of water just then, though. But we got so many texts and so many correspondences on the postgame show on Saturday, Big Red Overreaction, where people were like, "Hey, where did Fedoni go?" And I'm like, I don't know. He got a false start and he didn't play. Nebraska's offense scored 44 points.
Yeah,
like I don't really get it. I don't really understand. Like, isn't this about Nebraska football having success? Isn't this about Nebraska's offense having success? I don't really understand why those are the things that we want to talk about. Like, if the coaches felt like Thomas Fedoni wasn't helping them, and the other player clearly was, if Nate Borkircher and Luke Lindenmeyer were clearly helping them, which they were. Borkircher had 2 catches for 29 yards, and he didn't have a false start. Lindenmeyer had a catch for 8 yards, and doing the things that he always does. Oh my goodness, it's John Bishop doing the thing that he always does in the blocking game. Like, why do we want to ask about the guy who's not playing?
You complain when he does play. They take him out. It goes really, really well.
Yeah,
and you complain.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand that. So
if the coach could just put their cigarette out on my nipples, that would be great.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
I appreciate that drop coming in. But I don't really get it. If Nebraska's offense found a way to be successful without him on the field, like, obviously you want to find ways to utilize your players that are highly you want to find a way to utilize your players, period, regardless of if they're highly touted or what kind of history they come with, or if they're local, if they're not a local. Like, that is like a piece of the conversation with both Malachi Coleman and Thomas Fedoni. I'm not saying Fedoni's in the transfer portal, although it doesn't seem particularly likely that he's here next year, to be honest with you. But that is they're local, right? And so people have a certain way of thinking about them when they are local. When they grew up around here, when they bleed Husker red, like all of that kind of stuff. But hey, if they're not helping you on the field, like, I don't get what the drama is behind that. If you're doing the thing where, like, hey, Malachi didn't play this year because Rhule has a whatever, like he has a vendetta against him, or I don't even know what the storyline might be on that. You're telling me that you think that Matt Rhule is not doing the best thing for his team from a personnel perspective, all because he doesn't like a guy? Like, Rhule just said last week, I will do literally anything. He was one step away from going Mike Vrabel. I will cut my testicle off for a winning season, or for a 6-win season. I just, like,
what a low bar to do such a thing.
He would clearly do anything to help his team win. And so what he's telling you is that not having those guys in the game is helping their team win. And so what's the complaint? I don't know. I'm not sure why we always want to talk about those guys all the time, but so I understand Matt Rhule's frustration when he says, when he's asked about these guys all the time, and he almost has that confused look on his face. Like, why am I answering a question about Micah Mazuka? Why am I answering a question about Malachi Coleman? Why am I answering a question about guys who aren't playing? Like, I don't know. And to the media's credit, it is something that the fan base talks about. And generally, I think the media should ask questions that the fan base wants answers to. I think that's a fine practice.
Definitely.
But I also understand Rhule's frustration with the entire thing. So there you go. That was, if that's your big picture takeaway from the from the press conference. I don't know, maybe focus on something else. I appreciated how Rhule, he was asked multiple times about Dana Holgerson's impact and what he's turned the offense into in a couple weeks, and he keeps going back to the idea that it's not really anything. It's not really anything that he's done. It's just that they're executing. And I think there's a little bit of a gray area here. It doesn't have to be a black and white thing. I do think Dana Holgerson, like, the players are executing, definitely a little bit better than they have been in the past. But
certainly
I will,
quicker.
Quicker. Play calling matters, guys. Play calling matters. And so the things that they're doing, while aren't necessarily these grandiose, like, we're not reinventing the wheel here. They're not installing a different offense, but they're taking tenets of what they were doing before and getting way better at it. But why are they getting better at it? Why can it go from that to that in just a span of 2 weeks? Dana Holgerson is really good at what he does. He's really good at sequential play calling. He's really good at game feel. And he uses motion. He uses unbalanced sets. He's creative, right? And so I'm not saying that center field isn't creative, but is creative in different ways. And the offense just was not reaching its potential with that. So, for Matt Rhule to be like today, it's just execution. It's not. That's not true. It's that's just not true. It is the play calling. Obviously, the players are getting a lot better at it. But there's a little juice behind what they're doing right now, and there just wasn't before. It's the time in which they take. Dana Holgerson is putting his stamp on this offense, and so I know Matt Rhule wants to downplay it, but I mean he's very clearly making a gigantic difference, right? So, yeah, I mean it's definitely different than it was before that. By the way, many people are texting in. Josh, would you like to comment on what people might hear on our podcasts today?
Starting with this segment, they will hear a normal podcast.
Okay. What were they? What might they be hearing on the previous segments?
Nothing, because I deleted them. Because your voice wasn't a part of them.
That's what I was fishing for there, because that's what people are texting in. They're like, "Wow, I'm just listening back to the radio replays at the start of the show, and it's a large swaths of blankness." I assume that's where Connor was coming in. Don't worry, those are getting fixed. I think that's what you were getting at.
Deleted.
Right,
there is no fix to them.
There's no fix.
No fix.
Okay. All right. There won't be podcasts of that segment. Go on the YouTube.
That's right.
And listen to them. Excellent. Sounds good. By the way, couple texts from the 402 before we get out of here. We'll talk to Sam McKewon coming up. Thank you. He didn't play. And then comment after that. Huskers won from RJ. Right. Why are we having the conversation about the players that didn't play? He didn't really play. Jason Siegel, mispronouncer.
Jason Siegel, mispronouncer.
Were people really complaining? I thought it was more just noticing, just another indication of Dana evaluating talent without bias. Yeah, that seemed to be the spin on it when we were getting it on the post game. Hey, where's Fedoni? Why couldn't they get him going or anything like that? Maybe I'm taking it a step too far, but people were noticing. Maybe that's the thing too. Even if people were noticing it, it's odd. Because Nebraska got production from that spot without him in the game. He's like, well, what's up with that? Yeah, he's not in the game. Kind of just one of those things. They seem to have found a better option, as Matt Rhule put it today. Coach's decision.
And then Shirley hopped in the chat and created a firestorm.
Is that really what people are focusing on?
Well, that's what makes it a scandal. That's what makes it drama, right?
See, I actually don't think it does. I think it's his high profile in general. Obviously, it doesn't help when his mom goes in the comments on some things, but
I don't know that is his mom.
Oh, I don't either. I have no idea. That's just what I assumed based on her name.
No.
I was just somebody with the last name Fedoni.
Then
why are we talking about it at all?
Great question, Connor.
Great. All right, let's take a break. Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald is going to join us at the top of the hour. We will recap the weekend, obviously a big one for Nebraska, and look ahead to the Iowa game, which is Friday. People forget, not Saturday.
That's right.
We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Husker Review Monday is powered by McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Looking for trusted experts to protect and enhance your home or business? We are McKinnis, Nebraska and Iowa's go-to choice since 1981. For commercial or residential projects, trust McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Visit McKinnisInc.com today.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Schaefer for Ted and Wally's Premium Ice Cream. Is your freezer ready for the holidays? If you want the best for your friends and family and guests, go to Ted and Wally's before the next big get-together. Made the old-fashioned way with locally sourced ingredients and over 3,000 delicious flavors. Find us at 2 locations. They're very convenient. 60th and Maple in Benson, next to Taste of New Orleans and the Old Market. It's Ted and Wally's Ice Cream. It's not just ice cream, it's tradition. And when you visit either location and have some fun, tell them Severe sent you.
Are you annoyingly inattentive? Do you watch a movie and then ask a zillion questions because you weren't paying attention? Do people ask, how do you sleep at night? Then you should get a mattress from Mattress Firm. They can help anyone sleep. At Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale, get a king for the price of a queen and a free adjustable base with select Sealy beds, all with a low price guarantee. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal is $50 in vouchers to Le Voltaire French Restaurant for only $25. Le Voltaire Pepperwood Village is a locally owned, unpretentious French restaurant that serves delicious French cooking with an extensive wine list and great handcrafted cocktails. Whether dining with friends, clients, or that special someone, Le Voltaire will make you feel right at home.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
Join me, Jimmy Allen, for the Creighton Athletics Hour. We'll be talking all things Blue Jays and interviewing your favorite coaches, so you don't want to miss it. It's the Creighton Athletics Hour, Thursdays, starting at 6 o'clock, only on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and your 1620 The Zone mobile app.
Not all products are available in all 50 states. Compounded products are not FDA approved nor verified for safety, efficacy, or quality. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. See website for full details.
Why try Hims for weight loss? If you're interested in personalized prescription options, including Ozempic, Wegovy, oral medications, and compounded GLP-1 injections, and the support to see real results, you might like it. Why try Hims to regrow hair? If a range of treatment options made with clinically proven ingredients like minoxidil and finasteride for thicker, fuller hair in 3 to 6 months sound good, you might like it. Why try Hims for ED? If you've been looking for access to doctor-trusted treatments like Viagra, Cialis, and their more affordable generic counterparts, you and your partner might like it. The Hims process is simple, 100% online, and treatments are shipped free to your door in discreet packaging if prescribed. What's not to like? To save big on weight loss, hair loss, and ED solutions, get started today at hims.com. That's hims.com.
The Woodcliff Restaurant in Fremont is just a quick sleigh ride from Omaha at Woodcliff Lake. Get a head start on all your stocking stuffers with gift cards from the Woodcliff Restaurant. Winters at the Woodcliff Restaurant are warm and inviting, like a Santa's workshop, but more fun. Stop fighting traffic, parking, and one-way streets. Slow down and enjoy a fantastic dinner at the lake with family and friends this holiday season. The Woodcliff Restaurant is Santa approved. Check them out at thewoodcliffrestaurant.com or on Facebook for specials and events.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
School bus drivers, custodians, paraeducators, the list goes on of all the education support professionals that help every school in Nebraska run smoothly every day. They ensure that our students have a safe ride to school, healthy meals, and a clean environment to learn. I'm Tim Royers, president of the Nebraska State Education Association, asking you to please take a moment to say thank you to the support staff in your child's school.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, then great news. Good news. Your coworker Kyle said bundling home and auto insurance with Progressive could save you money. Bad news. While saying this, Kyle was eating your clearly labeled lunch. Dumb news. Pizza near work costs $7 a slice, and it tastes like drywall covered in ketchup. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at Progressive.com and enjoy more lunches far away from Kyle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone.
For the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. I assume we have our next guest, Josh. All right, good. Connor Happer, Josh Hudson with you. I am in Las Vegas at Circa Resort and Casino, just taking in the week. We head back to Lincoln with Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I guess it's morning for me. It's afternoon for you. I apologize. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Still morning there?
Yeah, it's 11. It's 11. It still feels like the morning anyway.
Okay.
I'm in Vegas. Did you know that?
It's Pacific Coast time in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I did not know that.
I didn't really either, but they told me it's 2 hours behind, and my clock confirmed it. So here we are.
Yeah. Well, I learned something new today.
Indeed. That's what we try to do on the show every single day. So Saturday night, I know that Rhule today wanted to sort of like kind of downplay the importance that Dana Holgorsen has brought to the offense, or what he's brought to the offense. I guess when you watch it, what do you think over the last 2 weeks and how it's different from what it was before?
I think the thing that he's done is you can probably split it into equal portions of importance. The first thing he's done, obviously, is create a culture and practice where who executes is who plays. And I think it's probably cut down on some of the mistakes. One of the questions I asked Matt Rhule today related to tight end play is, you had two guys playing that haven't been playing that much this year, and they played a lot against Wisconsin, that being Nate Borkircher and Luke Lindenmeyer. Thomas Fedoni played 2 snaps. I think he had a false start, and he was off field. Yep. And I think that was notable. And so, when you have situations where guys are playing because, they've earned that in practice, I think that sends a message. And I think Holgorsen has been empowered to do that. When you're a walk-around offensive coordinator, you can be the jerk, so to speak. And then I think schematically, it's not that they've done necessarily a ton, but they've done a few different concepts. I think what they tried to do is emphasize getting the ball out of his hands quickly so that playmakers can make plays. And I would actually liken it or compare it to college baseball. And the way I would say this is, in college baseball, when you put the ball in play, there's no guarantee that the third baseman is going to make the play that the third baseman in the major leagues makes. I think it's the same in college football. You got to put the ball in play. And I think way too often under Marcus Satterfield, Dylan Raiola was just holding on to the ball, and he wasn't putting the ball in play. And sometimes you just got to put the ball in play, and you got to let a guy make a play in space. And what Emmett Johnson and Ja'Cory Barney did is they made plays in space, which they did. And I think that plays a role, and that's a major impact in the way that game plays out. There's just stuff that those guys did when they got opportunities, and that stuff mattered. And that's where I think I think that's where things stood out.
Well, and his confidence level seems to be completely different from what it was 2 weeks ago. You could see it sort of building against USC, and all of a sudden now, he looks like the guy, or maybe an even a more advanced version of what he was at the beginning of the season. That's another thing that's like, there's other things, advantages that have come along with what they've done schematically as well. Like, I know it's hard to say, hard to ask how well is Dylan Raiola playing right now. So I guess the question is, how well did he play on Saturday night?
I thought he played well. I think that, again, he's given the opportunity to play well because the ball's getting out of his hands, and he's making pretty basic completions and things like that. You don't necessarily need to be the 49ers offense in order to move the football. And again, one of the things that I think college coaches really need to be able to do is take the players that they have and build an offense that takes advantage of what's on hand. Not craft an offense that requires a million pieces in order to be elite. And I think some of what was going on with Satterfield was, hey, well, so you have all the pieces, the plays look really neat. I think with Holgorsen, it's like we're going to run the same concept, the mesh concept underneath, crossing routes with a curl in the middle. We're going to run it over and over. We're going to make them stop that. And guess what? Just like college baseball, if you put the ball in play, there's a chance you're going to get an error because that college shortstop's not going to play in the major leagues. It's the same in college football. You put those linebackers in conflict, and you are not playing, Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher. So, those guys are just players, and you've got to make them make plays. And so I think that's been some of the biggest differences that Nebraska has forced Wisconsin's defense to make plays in space, and Wisconsin did not respond.
How did you I want you just to take us back and being on the field on Saturday night as Nebraska really finally broke through. It felt like a heck of a moment, for the program, for its fan base, and all of those things. Like, if you could take us back to that to Saturday night as Nebraska's putting it on Wisconsin and getting at the schneid and all these different streaks, like, how did that feel in comparison to some other really, whether it be fun moments or tension lifting moments, I guess, in Nebraska football as long as you've been around the program?
It compared to some degree to, that 2005 game where Nebraska pummeled Colorado. Of course, that
restore the order.
That didn't really end up in Bill Callahan restoring the order, so to speak. But if we're compared to that, of just you needed something good to happen, it did. It happened emphatically, and it propelled the team. It gave them a swagger that could carry over to against Iowa. You just never know what positive things might happen. That's part of it. Trying to think of another one that felt that way. Yeah, I think that's probably the comparison piece that I would pick. Because, Nebraska's got such a rich football history prior to 2002 that everything
really comparable.
Jaded and blasé from back then. Because if you say, well, it felt like the time that Nebraska beat Oklahoma in '93 to complete the undefeated regular season, and you get everybody getting all worked up and say, well, this isn't comparing to that. So I think the 2005 game is one that I think of for sure, and there's probably some others in there. But, that was an experience, and I feel like, again, where does Nebraska go from here? If they follow this up with a win over Iowa, they're 7-5, and I think everybody's feeling really dang good. If they don't and they lose the next two games, well, they made it to a bowl, and next up is progress for the future. So either way, if we're talking to the media corps today, Connor, here, everybody seems to think Nebraska's going to play in a pretty good bowl game. There's a sense of it's going to be ReliaQuest or Music City. I'm not quite on that trip. I'm not sure they're going to make the Music City Bowl. Everybody around here always gets a little overconfident, but I think they need a win. If they win, then they'll probably go to that ReliaQuest Bowl because they'll have that tiebreaker over Iowa and whatever. Who cares what Minnesota does? They've been to Tampa a couple of times, so I think that could happen. But if they lose, maybe they're going to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. But you know what? If they do, they're going to be playing a good football team in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. I mean, they're probably going to be playing K-State, and K-State's been ranked almost all year. So, there's no jokes in the bowl pecking order for Nebraska. They're going to have a hard game sometime in December for sure.
To what extent, Sam, while we're on the subject, to what extent is it true that Nebraska's fan base and its traveling party would propel it into a next level bowl game, depending on how many win, from where it deserves to be picked?
Well, I think the thing you're looking at right now is the 4 teams going to the college football playoff from the Big Ten, and I got to tell you, I think that's going to happen. So long as Penn State beats Maryland and Indiana beats Purdue, I think you can just chalk it up. it's going to happen. 11-1 teams aren't going to miss the playoff. And so, Oregon and Ohio State are already in my opinion. So, I think from there, the 5th team in the Big Ten is Illinois. They pretty much already clinched that. But Illinois is your team that's going to fit into the Citrus Bowl. And then everything after that is sort of up in the air. You have a bunch of 6 and 5 teams. You got an Iowa team that's 7 and 4. Well, if Iowa wins, they move to 8 and 4. They're probably going to go to the Rely Quest. And then maybe Minnesota wins and they're 7 and 5, and then it's between Minnesota and Nebraska to see who goes to the Music City Bowl. And I'm going to guess that the Music City Bowl wants Nebraska, and they're able to make that selection. I think they probably will. And so that's the question. Is it going to be if Minnesota beats Wisconsin? And quite frankly, I think Minnesota is going to hammer Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin is way, way, way in trouble right now. I think Minnesota is going to beat Wisconsin by a couple of scores. Then they're 7 and 5, and then you got to decide, and then we'll see where Nebraska's at. So I think it's either going to be the Guaranteed Rate, Music City, or Rely Quest Bowls. In any scenario, they're going to play a good team. I do think Nebraska's fan base will travel well, and I really don't think the Detroit or the Pinstripe Bowl are in play. Maybe the Duke's Mayo Bowl. That's out there. That's January 3rd. I think you'd get a good traveling party to Charlotte. I don't know. That could be where Minnesota ends up. I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota went there. So somewhere in there, they're going to find a bowl that lands, and we'll see what happens.
Sam, how difficult will Friday be for Nebraska? I know people, they sort of react to a big win on Saturday. So like, hey, this is kind of what it's going to be like. And I know there was a lot of people who were like, hey, Nebraska's going to beat Iowa. Or you like their chances. Maybe you like their chances a little bit better. Iowa's still Iowa. They still do the things that are going to test Nebraska in ways that they usually don't, they don't end up passing those tests. But you can count on the offense maybe a little bit more. I guess, what do you think about this matchup as you look at it on Friday, which I think is really, really intriguing?
It is intriguing. I think, Iowa's going to run the football. They run it really, really well. They're going to get downhill on you. They have a combination of zone plays and also power plays. And, they do a really nice job of moving the football on the ground. They're not a good passing team. They don't try that hard to pass the ball, but they got tight ends who can play and make plays and all the other things. And, so there's all those components in place. I think Nebraska's got a shot, but they gotta play well, and they gotta play well early in that game, and they have to really, really defend the run well, because Iowa can do it to you either way. They can either chunk you for 4, 5, 6 yards a tote, or if you think you're tough enough to go up in there and put 8 or 9 in the box, they'll bust a 70-yarder on you. And Ohio State was able to hold Iowa's run offense down, but that's Ohio State, and they have really good safeties at Ohio State that are able to do some things and fit and make tackles. I don't know that Nebraska has that, and so I think Nebraska's going to have to really stop the run well. I think in other areas they might be able to compete. I think you're probably going to have to score 24. That usually seems to be the number. Iowa tends to score more against Nebraska than they do against some other teams. So, 24-21, can they pull that off? They can. I don't know how. I think Iowa will have a juiced crowd, but I don't know if it's going to be totally juiced. We'll just see. And, got to play well, though. Got to do all the things you did against Wisconsin. Got to find a way to make catches and then break tackles and all the rest.
All right, Sam, we'll let you go. Appreciate it as always. Have a good week and enjoy your Thanksgiving. See you soon.
All right, take care. Bye.
That's Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Yeah, we talked about the older safeties last week, and how Nebraska, those guys were called out publicly, right? They've left a lot to be desired. We're talking about Singleton and Gifford. So Nebraska came up with a win on Saturday, and maybe there's just some weight that comes off of everyone's shoulders just in general. But all the focus goes right back to those back-end players The way that they're going to block and what Iowa is going to throw at Nebraska has always been a challenge for them, and they have to have players who can come up and be in the right place. And they have to be in the right fits and not over pursue and not do too much, right? They're going to test you with how surgical they are, with how well they execute. So I think it's a tremendous challenge for Nebraska's defense on Friday. With that being said, I do think there's some ability to stretch the field vertically on them, right? If Nebraska's on offense, like I think Nebraska can get some things done in the pass game. It's the same tenets of all these other previous matchups, just with a little year-by-year tweaks depending on what the personnel sort of looks like. It's a very interesting one on Friday. And it's a big one because that momentum, you just want to keep that. You want to hang on to that and bottle it up as long as you possibly can. Rhule mentioned another thing in his press conference today, and it was right off the bat. Somebody asked about incoming players participating in bowl practices, which this is we have to relearn how to go to bowl games again.
Right.
And part of the relearning process, Josh, and this is a new rule since Nebraska's last gone to a bowl game, is that early enrollees, if they're available, if it works out for their schedule, whatever it might be, they can participate in these practices, and that it's basically another spring practice. How often do we talk about those players getting the opportunity to come in early, participate in spring practice, and how beneficial it is to their freshman season? Well, let's throw another 10 or 15 practices on top of that, which is just coming right off of your senior year of high school. I think that's valuable development period. There's no doubt about it. People forget about the bowl practices, Josh.
Well, I remembered the bowl practices, but that question came up, and I said, "What are we talking about exactly? What's going?" And then, like, it kind of clicked in my head. I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's a thing now that wasn't a thing last time."
By the way, I saw a bunch of people respond on Saturday to my tweet about people forgetting about the bowl practices, and everyone was like, "No, we don't." And I'm like, "I know, that's the joke.
That's the joke.
It gets talked about too much. It's important, yes, but it gets talked about too much. That's all. It definitely got talked about a lot on the BTN broadcast on Saturday afternoon. By the way, I wanted to thank our friends out at CrossStream for having us out. It was a lively show on Saturday night, and then the crowd continued to get more lively as volleyball was putting a hurting on Wisconsin Saturday night as well. So that was pretty good as well. Appreciate them. Also appreciate our friends here at Circa Resort and Casino for having us out this week. We're hanging out at Stadium Swim right now. Once again, Josh, I don't know if you can tell on the stream, the sun is it's really trying. It has definitely gotten warmer over the last 20 minutes, but it's just having a difficulty busting through those clouds. Maybe as unsportsmanlike conduct goes on this afternoon, it will continue its attempt.
There was a lady meandering about your cabana there in full winter regalia. She had a snow cap on and a jacket on, and I couldn't help but chuckle.
Look at my people back here in the cabana. They don't care. I mean, Josh is wearing a hoodie. Nick's wearing a long sleeve. John's wearing a look at cool guy John in the
Nick's
corner
eating.
Just a cool guy, right, John?
Chill
that
guy.
meme. Just a chill guy. Just a chill guy. Exactly. We're built different. Nebraskans are built a little bit different. There's a lot of coats around us today. We're fine. We're doing just fine. All right, let's take a break here. We'll come back. A couple things to get to before we get out of here. A reminder quickly that this week's Zone Deal is to an exciting new restaurant in Omaha that's Churco, located at 192nd and Q with an ever-evolving menu. Churco is a dynamic fine dining experience. This week's Zone Deal is two $25 vouchers, a $50 value for just $25. On sale Black Friday, 9 a.m. All the details can be found on our website, 1620thezone.com.
You get a lot of junk in your inbox. This one, not junk at all. 1620 the email. Exclusive content, contests, other stuff probably. Subscribe today at 1620thezone.com. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7.
Bright, cold, and breezy for your Monday afternoon with a high today of 37 in Omaha, but still feeling like the 20s. Northwesterly wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour possible, becoming light and variable overnight. Clear to mostly clear skies and cold, low tomorrow morning of 22. Partly to mostly cloudy with increasing clouds for your Tuesday, a high tomorrow of 45. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV Newswatch 7.
Looking to upgrade your windows and save big? J-Tech Construction has got you covered. Right now, we're running a limited time window promo you don't want to miss. Purchase new energy efficient windows before December 31st, 2024, and we'll match the federal tax credit available for windows. That's right, double the savings for your home. But hurry, this offer ends soon. Call J-Tech Construction today, and let's get those windows right. Upgrade, save, and win with J-Tech, your official exterior experts of the Huskers.
Be ready for every adventure and a new vehicle from Sid Dillon Chevrolet. Shop Nebraska's #1 volume Chevy dealer group or at SidDillonChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Walking into 42 degrees can be like a kid visiting the chocolate factory for the first time. You're surrounded by a massive selection of disposables, glass, gummies, vaporizers, kratom,
and Cannabis Cup winning flower strains. With our amazing customer service,
you're going to leave feeling like you won the entire chocolate factory. 42 degrees has set a standard for cannabis quality, product selection, and customer service
that no other dispensary will ever be able to match. 42 degrees, by your mom's house.
Calling all college basketball fans to downtown Las Vegas. Join your team when they travel to Las Vegas this November as Circa Resort and Casino celebrates Hoopsgiving. Circa has discounted rooms all week long for fans from Omaha. When your team isn't on the court, join us at Stadium Swim with temperature-controlled pools and a 143-foot screen showing all the action, plus the world's largest sportsbook, drinks giving, and more. To book and find out everything about Hoopsgiving, go to circalasvegas.com/hoopsgiving.
Beat the Black Friday rush during Black Friday build-up at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, get an extra 10% off when you buy a major appliance from Whirlpool, like the new Smart Range with air cooking and a wipe clean coating. Shop these deals in-store or online now, because Lowe's knows deals. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid 11/6 through 12/4. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details.
Husker Review Monday is powered by McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Looking for trusted experts to protect and enhance your home or business? We are McKinnis, Nebraska and Iowa's go-to choice since 1981. For commercial or residential projects, trust McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Visit McKinnisInc.com today.
Listen to 1620 The Zone weekdays for the Big Red Practice Report presented by Tickets for Less. Visit ticketsforless.com and use promo code The Zone to score incredible savings for your favorite team. It's the Big Red Practice Report brought to you by Tickets for Less.
Velocity Clinical Research in Omaha conducts clinical trials for investigational treatments and research. Typical studies involve medications for high cholesterol, diabetes, infectious diseases, and acne. Some current studies include low T, RSV, fall influenza, pediatric obesity ages 12 to 17, adult obesity, and asthma. Velocity also performs vaccine studies. Studies are medically supervised and do not require insurance. Velocity recognizes your time is valuable, so they offer compensation for study-related time and travel. Find out more at velocityclinicaltrials.com.
All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Josh Hudson with you here on the Connor Happer Show. 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Join the VIP club. Sign up for 1620 The Email. You'll be the first to know about all the exciting things that are happening on 1620 The Zone. Last time we were in Las Vegas, I believe we sent out Nick's vlogs in a 1620 The Email.
That's right.
There you go. So there will be some of that going on. There has been some of that going on. We're randomly walking from place to place wherever we're going inside the casino, and all of a sudden you turn around and Nick's there shoving a camera in your face. Then he's like, "Do a take" or something like that. And you're like, "All right, I got you." So you'll be seeing a little bit of that. We are here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week. Creighton basketball is out here as well. They'll be taking on San Diego State tomorrow afternoon on 1620 The Zone. That game will tip off at 1 o'clock Central Time. Is this correct, Josh?
That's
Can
right.
you confirm? Thank you.
Confirm.
1 o'clock Central Time, which means 12:30 pregame, which means we'll be off right before 12:30. And then we will come to you right after the Jays game ends as well. So a little after 2:30, probably somewhere in that range, closer to 3 potentially. And then we'll do the rest of the afternoon from here as well. Creighton will play Texas A&M on Wednesday evening as well here from Las Vegas. Creighton going to have to bounce back here, Josh. There's been a lot obviously once you get past the Nebraska beat Creighton thing and all of the gloating and all of those things that went on from over the weekend, I think it did open up some concerns, I guess, for Creighton fans, obviously because Stephen Ashworth is not going to be a part of the thing for a little while here. Don't know an exact time frame on that one, but it'll be some time. Maybe I wouldn't even speculate. I don't know. But it's going to be some time for Stephen Ashworth. So Creighton's going to have to get, a little bit younger here, and then those guys are going to have to be older. Like, I don't know. It sort of reminds me, I guess, of a situation from, a couple of years ago, right at the end of the season when you were dealing with some injuries there and you had to just ask guys to step up. You have to ask Trey Alexander to play the point. Creighton always finds a way to, usually finds a way to make that work. You're asking Pop Isaacs to handle the ball a little bit. You're asking Jemiah Neal to play a little bit of two. I like what he's done, by the way, over the last couple games. And you're probably asking a little bit more of Ty Davis at this point, a freshman. Jackson McAndrew was maybe one of the lone bright spots, I suppose, for Creighton in the Friday night game against Nebraska, where he was pretty good, and he came off the game against Kansas City where he was pretty good as well. Creighton definitely has got some stuff to figure out. To be honest, I don't want to go too spin zone on this, but I do think Greg McDermott probably thought, while obviously, drink the tears, he obviously hated losing to Nebraska and all of that stuff. But I do think there is an element of he's trying to figure out the team still. And he even said it after the Kansas City game. He said, I'm not sure if they're quite ready for the challenge. Kind of got a long way to go to get ready for this challenge. And they had clearly seen nothing that would match the intensity that Nebraska was giving them on Friday. And there's no preparation for that. There's nothing that you can do to sort of simulate that. You just get put in a big environment. A lot of turnover from last year. Creighton had a lot of experience in situations like that with Baylor Shireman and Trey Alexander, guys who operate with the basketball in their hands, right? And you had Ashworth, but you're mixing new guys, and obviously Pop Isaacs had a ton of experience, and Jemiah Neal have had a ton of experience, but none of these things together. So I think ultimately Creighton will be better as a team for having that happen to them on Friday. But then you can also ask the question of how good are they anyway? That's a real thing, I think, at this point. And I don't know, Josh, you and I talked about it at the beginning of the year. I certainly, the ceiling for the NCAA tournament is always what it is, just because, you could win a bunch of games in the NCAA tournament. Josh, have you ever heard the term? It's all about matchups.
Oh,
it's all about.
I thought it was all about guard play.
Yeah. Guard play matchups. Things like that. It's not as high as it has been over the last couple of years. Their ceiling is undoubtedly lower than it has been over the last couple of years. So they're probably, I don't know, like a back end of the top 25, kind of group. You're going to find your way to 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 wins in the Big East, like somewhere in there. And hopefully you can have a good showing in Las Vegas this week. And you still have Kansas coming out of the non-con. You still have Alabama coming out of the non-con. Like, this is going to be a lot of learning, a lot of finding over the next couple of weeks. It should prepare them, but at the same time, you hope it doesn't make you slide too far, and you hope it's not too reminiscent of their really horrible losing streak in November and December a couple years ago when they were coming off of Maui and guys were getting sick and injured, and you had a really tough non-conference schedule. So, and I think this team obviously has a lower ceiling than that. So there's a lot. There's a lot of different ways that this could go for Creighton this year. It's going to be intriguing to watch.
Well, I think in the next 2-3 weeks or whatever, they're either going to get better or they're going to get beaten down by just the brutality of their schedule, playing all those teams in Vegas, Kansas, Alabama. God knows how many times you're going to play Alabama over the next 3 weeks.
Maximum of 2, right?
Okay,
So
okay.
that's maximum of 2. That's the positive.
That's good. But yeah, I mean, you're thrown into the deep end here in Vegas this week. You gotta find the answer, and you gotta find it right now.
What do you think? So let's flip it over to the other side of the Friday night game. What do you think? Oh, there's some sun. Come on. Yeah,
Get it.
Warm
Get it.
me up. I feel like a solar panel, Josh. I'm just going to eat this all in right now. What do you think? And I haven't heard much of this. It's mostly been Nebraska fans sort of reveling in the fact that they beat Creighton on Friday. What do you think it means for Nebraska's season? I mean, obviously, as far as tournament resume is concerned, it's gigantic. But do you how much more highly? I'm asking you, Nebraska fan. I wonder how much more highly you think of this team now that they show that they're capable of that. Or are you thinking, well, it was just the right matchup and we had a great plan for it and we just won the game. The Big Ten's going to still be the Big Ten's challenges. I wonder what people are dreaming about. Because after a win, that's what happens, right? After a win of that caliber, you beat a top 15 team in the country in their place, you start really dreaming, right? It's the ceiling. What are we looking at this year? And I don't know. I haven't heard much speculation or much dreaming from Nebraska fans over the last 72 hours here, which is sort of odd. More just reveling in it. I think they're pretty good.
I think they're poised to kind of find some success in the Big Ten, more so than I thought preseason, because if they can put a defensive effort like that out against some of the other teams in the Big Ten, they'll find some wins across the schedule. It might be a rock fight a lot of nights, but they seem to kind of want that.
It's so funny how this team has sort of become almost the exact opposite image of what Fred Hoiberg thought he was going to build at Nebraska. He's built an unathletic, defensive, gritty, offensive, not pretty, and maybe even potentially better at mid-range, tough twos, shot make, everywhere you look. It's sort of the opposite of what everyone thought Fred Hoiberg was going to try and design here, or what he was trying to design in his first couple years at Nebraska before he had the real changeover. I mean, it's pretty impressive, but obviously it's way different. Can you win games that way? Yeah, it's been proven over a long history. But there's always going to be a ceiling on what you can do because of your athleticism. With that being said, depth in the front court is something that they haven't had. Having those 3 guys that they could throw at whatever big man you're going to play. And Fred mentioned it on Friday night. He said, well, we have some experience going up against guys like Kalkbrenner. We played Edey, a couple times, and we just, that's what we were trying to do for him or do to him. But I think the difference for them this year is that they have all of Berkay and Mia and Morgan, and they all kind of throw different things at you, and they all have these capabilities to be physical. Gary's a physical player, obviously add some shot making. And then you got maybe underestimated a guy. Well, I didn't underestimate Bryce Williams. I kind of knew what we were getting there, but I think I probably underestimated Connor Essegian's ability to make shots. I mean, he was really good for them on Friday night. You always know what Hoiberg is going to bring to the table. Sam is going to bring to the table. So, Sam Hoiberg. So, man, I don't know. I don't know what the ceiling is. I don't know what the dream is if you're dreaming, if you're a Nebraska basketball fan. But I mean, it's obvious that they can make the NCAA tournament, I think. I don't know if anybody didn't think that beforehand, though. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Seems like there's a path there now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think there was a path before. There's definitely a wide open path now. Here's Douglas on YouTube.
Hi, Douglas.
Who has many comments at many times. Not surprised really on Hoiberg's ability to adapt. He can't seem to recruit 5 stars yet. Well, I mean, they tried that.
Yeah.
they tried that. They tried to go. They had a player development coordinator or whatever they called him. He was basically their GM who went out and selected and, he dealt with the roster. And that was what Nebraska and Fred Hoiberg had an idea of what he was trying to build and tried to build it and failed, and it did not work. And then they went to something completely different. Once again, like, we've seen coaches adapt over time. Coaches become different versions of themselves, but rarely do we see a coach who's known so much for one thing build a team in the complete opposite image entirely and build a program in the complete opposite image entirely. I think, I've seen some people including Sam, he's made some comparisons from what Hoiberg changed over to like what Rhule is doing now. Obviously, there's an adjustment and there's a tweak of the system, and you have to find out what works and what doesn't work for the current times and the conference that you're in and all that stuff. But what Hoiberg did was just completely took what he had and turned it exactly upside down.
Quickly, too. Not like turning a ship where, okay, in the next 5 years, we're going to transition to this. I mean, it was pretty much one season to one season.
Yeah. Text from the 402.
Hi, 402.
Calling Nebraska unathletic after. See, it's always the words that people want to hear. I don't really. Calling Nebraska unathletic after watching that game Friday is certainly a take, unless Creighton is the least athletic team in Division I. Guys, I was explaining Nebraska as it was complimentary to Nebraska. All right. I don't think Creighton's a terribly athletic team either. I'm just saying that Nebraska has done a really good job of creating a good team for what they have. That's all I'm saying. They have been completely the antithesis of what they were before, what they were trying to build before. It's a less athletic I don't think anybody would argue that Nebraska is a less athletic version of what they were when Fred Hoiberg got here. It's a compliment. You guys need to stop being triggered all the time. All right, stop. You can still win
now.
You could still win games.
I don't know if you know this. Nebraska beat Creighton on Friday, Connor.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware.
Okay.
Let's take a break. We have the polls. We'll tell you what to watch on the other side on 1620 The Zone.
I'm a fabulous driver.
The Connor Happer Show.
I'm one of the best friends you could ever have in your life.
On 1620 The Zone.
I hate you.
Suicide can be prevented by knowing the warning signs. And most importantly, knowing what to do if you recognize those signs in yourself, a loved one, or even a stranger. There are simple ways you can be there for someone, so they can be here for more tomorrows. Visit moretomorrowsne.org to learn the signs, how to approach the conversation, and where to get help. Or call 988 for help now. That's moretomorrowsne.org.
Shop Genesis of Southwest Omaha for your next luxury sedan or SUV. From the captivating Genesis G70 to the refined elegance of the Genesis GV80, our exhilarating lineup delivers unrivaled performance. Right now, get 2.99% APR for 60 months on the entire lineup of 2025 Genesis G70s. Get started online at southwestomahagenesis.com today. With approved credit, tax, title, license extra when financed with Genesis Finance. $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires November 30th, 2024. See dealer for details.
Is your concrete cracked or uneven? Hey everyone, Coach Greg McDermott here to explain why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. Many people think they need to replace broken concrete, but repairing it provides durable protection and comes at a fraction of the cost. Everlevel provides permanent repair solutions to fix your concrete and protect it against future damage, and it all comes with a long-term transferable warranty. They offer free inspections to walk you through the entire process. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today.
Amid the highest levels of inflation seen in decades, thousands of Omaha families are struggling to escape poverty. But this holiday season, you can help them find a way forward by giving to the Salvation Army. Here in the Metro, we serve families with the support they need to get back on their feet by providing food, shelter, utility assistance, and much more. Join our effort to love beyond Christmas. Give to the Salvation Army now at omaharedkettle.org. That's omaharedkettle.org.
Email unsportsmanlike conduct on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox with whatever is on your mind, from your hot takes to what you think is one. The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
You have important reasons to stay healthy. Your family, your work, your favorite hobbies. If you have prediabetes, you can make healthy changes and prevent type 2 diabetes. Search doihaveprediabetes.org and a trained lifestyle coach will help you and a group of people like you learn how to lose weight, become more physically active, and reduce stress. It works. Find out how to enroll at doihaveprediabetes.org. Paid for by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services.
Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
UConn and Memphis are starting the Maui Invitational. Dan Hurley, right before they took a timeout there at the under 16 of the first half, saw him very close proximity say to an official, "Are you kidding me?" And then they went to break. He was already very yelly. So it was good to see that UConn's off to a lovely start. They'll probably absolutely steamroll their way through that tournament. I have little to no doubt. Or maybe they'll lose. Who knows? And then Dan Hurley will say, "See?" And then it'll make them even better and stronger in the long run.
How can you be triggered in such a beautiful place?
It's a great question. I don't know. Sometimes people get triggered when they go nice places. What do you think, Josh?
I don't know.
Do I seem triggered?
No.
I was triggered. Yes, I was triggered yesterday when I was losing bets all over the place in football by, ridiculous occurrences, inches. It is a game of inches.
It is. I've heard that before. People forget.
By the way, before, because we don't have any polls today, before we get to what we're watching on Friday, of course, is a night game between Nebraska and Iowa. A little helmet tap to our friend Josh Peterson, who points out the announcers for Friday's game between Nebraska and Iowa to be broadcast by NBC Sports. That would be friend of the show Paul Burmeister and other not so much friend of the program, Colt McCoy.
Oh, he did USC UCLA Saturday night. He has not gotten better.
They say that you're supposed to get better as the season goes along. That you're saying that
That's
has
right.
not happened.
I'm sorry. We should be nicer, Paul. I know Paul's listening, and I don't want to get triggered. I don't want to talk about his boy like that, but Colt might need some more reps in the offseason.
So that'll be a fun broadcast. NBC's a little busy this weekend. I assume they're sending the A crew out to Washington and Oregon this weekend as well. So enjoy on Friday night. We'll have Big Red Overreaction as well. I will have Big Red Overreaction with another person.
Hope
somebody else will be on that show, I think. Josh, since there are no polls, what are we watching tonight?
Well, we're going to watch the National Football League tonight. People forget that the Harbaughs are brothers, Jim and John. People forget.
This is awesome. I'm excited to watch this on a gigantic television.
You will get to. Ravens Chargers in LA, 7 o'clock on ESPN, ABC, ESPN2, and right here on 1620 The Zone. Your Manning cast guests include Bill Belichick, Owen and Luke Wilson. Wow.
Nice.
And Mike Vrabel.
All right.
In the back end there.
Two Vrabel drop-ins on the show today. How about that?
The over definitely hit.
Absolutely.
On that one. High school football in about, let's call it an hour on Nebraska Public Media. The D1 Championship. Number 1, Sandy Creek, 8-0, takes on number 2, Stanton, also 8-0. And then it's Class A, the matchup we've been waiting all year for. Number 1, Omaha West Side against Millard South, 1 versus 2 there. That's 7:15 kickoff there also on Nebraska Public Media. Men's basketball, you got UConn on your television right now in the Maui Gym Maui on ESPN.
Hell yeah.
And then
I don't think it's Maui. Excuse me. I don't think it's Maui Gym anymore.
Oh.
It looks like it's Hawaiian Islands.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe it's the Maui Invitational presented by NovaFax. So
doesn't hit the ear quite the same
Maui
way.
Gym Maui is out. It feels like it's just the Maui Invitational again with corporate sponsors.
And then because of the NFL, I believe this may be the best game ESPNU has ever had. 8 o'clock, number 4 Auburn against number 5 Iowa State.
Wow. Okay. That is pretty good.
That is pretty good. NBA doubleheader on NBA TV. Mavericks Hawks at 6:30, followed by Thunder Kings. New Christmas movie for you to watch on Paramount Plus today. Dear Santa, a boy summons the devil after mistakenly mailing a letter to Satan instead of Santa. Jack Black plays, I'm not sure if he's Satan or Santa in this movie. He's dressed as Santa on the cover, but I don't know if that's like the devil playing a trick on us.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would imagine that he's Santa based off the movie cover, but like I was thinking, which would he be better cast as, the devil or Santa Claus?
Exactly. Keegan-Michael Key also appears in this movie. And the Family Guy Christmas special is on Hulu. The Gift of the White Guy. Peter must recover Lois's Christmas brooch after losing it in a white elephant gift exchange. Stewie reinvents himself after learning he's on Santa's naughty list.
Is this new? Is this like
yes,
this a new
this
thing?
is a new one. I believe it is exclusively on Hulu.
Okay.
Got to get those subscription numbers up. I don't think people know about Disney Plus.
By the way, we never mentioned, I meant to get to this. We never mentioned that the Pro Volleyball Federation had its draft today.
That's
randomly on a Monday morning. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the notable results, Merritt Beeson from Nebraska was selected number 1 overall by Atlanta. Creighton's Nora Sis was selected 3rd overall by Orlando. That was in the first round of the draft with local connections. In the second round of the draft, Omaha, the Supernovas, selected Allie Batenhorst, outside hitter from USC, who had transferred from Nebraska.
Baylor Shireman retweeted that announcement from the Omaha Supernovas.
Oh, interesting.
I thought so as well.
Third round, the Omaha Supernovas selected Lindsey Krause from the University of Nebraska.
Yeah.
So they'll get back together there. The San Diego Mojo selected middle blocker Layla Blackwell with the second pick in the 4th round. She's from Nebraska. Is there anything else that I missed on this draft here, Josh?
I think you got it all, but that is a lot.
Actually, one more just coming in.
Rats.
The Omaha Supernovas have selected Creighton setter Kendra Waite with the 5th pick. The 5th pick of the 5th and final round, 37th overall. So the Supernovas went with some local flavor in their draft. Probably best suited to do that. There's good players here, Josh. I don't know if you knew that. And you could sell tickets when you have good local players.
Oh, interesting.
That's right. All right, Josh, thank you.
Thank you, Connor.
That is the show. If you missed anything, you can find it all on our website soon, 1620thezone.com. Time for the crossover here from Vegas. It's coming up next.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Husker Review Monday is powered by McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Looking for trusted experts to protect and enhance your home or business? We are McKinnis, Nebraska and Iowa's go-to choice since 1981. For commercial or residential projects, trust McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Visit McKinnisInc.com today.
Devin, wait up. You've been at MCC for 2 years and you're ready to transfer to a 4-year college?
Yeah, I knocked out my gen eds and now I'm transferring those credits.
Wow, I bet your mom thinks you're so
smart. Tell me about it. We save thousands in tuition.
Now that's a smart way to start a 4-year degree.
That's Metropolitan Community College.